Welcome to Castle Super Beast. I'm Wooly,
I'm Pat.
and we are here to bring you a podcast of video game news, occasionally other things, and mostly just rant and talk about what's going on in our lives and such.
I promise that on this Zoom call of a podcast that I've muted my penis.
Does your penis make noise that needs to be muted?
Oh no, sorry, you're not familiar.
With the
Some
with the
fucking
noises of your
reporter.
dick?
No, some reporter dumbass just got suspended from his newspaper in New York because he was on a Zoom call with a shit ton of other news people, and
Oh man.
he just walked away and moved his robe and his dick fell out, and his
Oh.
explanation is, I thought I muted the video, and everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about, you old man?
Yeah, okay, so this is becoming a phenomenon. There's been a clear, massive uptick in Zoom calls and people using them, not understanding when they're live or not. And boy, I'm hearing tons of stories about embarrassing shit happening. There's more than enough clips of kids going to school and then just like a naked mom walks by and the teacher's just like, "What the who put that away?" You know, cuz like
Put
some
that naked mother away, please.
yeah, because like there's some I don't know there's that stuff where it's like, okay, if you're in a household where the mom is used to just waltzing around, flopping out everywhere, and everybody else is doing
I
that.
did not have that household.
I didn't have that household either. I know it's a thing, with I would say the exception of like I don't know if like she's running late or something and like we're kids and she's like, oh fuck, I gotta get out of here or whatever, she'll like run to the kitchen and whatever. But the whole thing where people casually are just flopping around with their family, I'm like, I don't know about that. That's a little bit not what I had. And
I don't want to see any part of any family member of mine flopping
yeah.
ever.
So you can't avoid it, right? You're gonna see flop. Family flop is
No, you
happening.
can avoid it. You can avoid
Okay.
it.
In a lot of cases, just basically exchanging places in a bathroom, trying to get in, squeezing past each other. If you're all preparing to go to church on a Saturday morning and everyone's trying to fight to use the iron to steam their clothes, everyone's fighting to get in and groom in the bathroom, and it's just a quick rotation and like there's lots of hurry up in there, you're using up the hot water. You're gonna like there's just some basic
So,
flop interaction will occur.
so what you're saying is that the only way to stop the flop is to stop church.
Well, no, it's more just like there's a degree to which people you live with, it's gonna be what it is. But obviously, if you're on a Zoom call going to school and like the flop happens to spill over onto the stream, then there's way more flop happening than average household flop if the Zoom call happens
Yeah,
to catch it.
yeah, that's casual floppage.
Casual flop. Casual flop. That's the issue. No one's going to get mad at you for, the expected margin of regular flop.
Now you got to be careful because if there's casual flop, then the river might fuck you, huh? Huh?
Hey, not bad.
Huh?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it. Cards.
Yeah, that's the joke is poker.
But that's been happening, and I heard one story of, I mean, there's been multiple, but I heard like definitely the story of like group of people having a meeting, and then like old, probably like 50s or 60s dad just turns the camera off but not the microphone, pulls a little DSP in the corner, comes back on
Oh
live,
no.
and then everyone's like, the fuck, and the dude's like, hey, how's it going, y'all? What's up? Anyway, so where were we? How
What are
you
you talking about?
doing? Just where were we? And you're just like, oh man, we
It's
all
really
heard it.
showing off just how much of society doesn't even understand the most basic computer interaction.
Yeah, I think between hearing it and seeing it, I like it's equally as bad. Like I would have put seeing it uh as worse, but depending on how bad it gets, hearing
Oh,
it
because the
can really
imagination.
burn in. Yeah.
The imagination.
Yeah. Portrait of the Mind is really powerful.
Like I got a camera that's basically pointed at me 24 hours a day if I'm sitting in this spot. So we have like a fucking bandana, a Warframe thing that a friend
Mm.
of mine gave me that we just tied up and just drape over it, like just in case, like just in case I forgot that I'm somehow broadcasting live and my penis fall out.
I mean, extra precautions are always good. See this right here? This is a visual. You want to know what this
I don't
does?
know because
Look,
I
I'll tell
can't
you
see
what it
you.
does. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh,
Wow.
I still don't know what you're doing.
It was a mute button. It's okay.
I intentionally don't watch Wooly's camera because that gives me the feeling of an audio podcast.
Yeah, that's the right move. I don't disagree with that. And besides, we want to appreciate our MP3 friends out there.
Who
Uh,
outnumber the video people by a factor of like something to whatever.
Certainly. What is going on in your week?
What's going on with my week? I don't know. I'm hanging out with this fat dog. He's fat, stupid, but that's every week. That'll be every week ever. Till the end of time because he dumb.
What did you check out?
Game wise and internet wise and entertainment wise and all that crap. The only thing I really have to say is to talk about your favorite game and mine. That's right. There was a Final Fantasy 14 update.
Yeah.
Um, it's called the Bajan Southern Front. It's basically a gigantic area that's supposed to evoke the feeling of Final Fantasy 11, in which like it's a big open area that has like a less like quest oriented fucking like objective. So lots of people, like giant groups of people wandering around, that kind of thing.
Bookmark.
Um,
Bookmark. What
mm,
is the difference in feeling of an average wandering through the field in FF11 versus 14?
okay, that's a decent question. So FF11 has quests, right? But the average enemy in 11 is way more dangerous. By the way,
Mm-hmm.
this is all secondhand because I don't have any experience with 11. The average enemy in 11 is much more dangerous, and FF11's zones are gigantic by
Mm-hmm.
comparison. And when you're wandering around in the overworld in 11, you are wandering with a party nearly all of the time, and everything is dangerous, so you're constantly freaked out, and you are out there to fucking grind mobs. Like, you are out there to get a pack of dudes, and we're gonna go kill these fucking dogs or Marlboros or farm this boss or whatever the fuck,
You're
right?
always in a party. You're not really soloing.
You are almost always in a party because the shit's dangerous.
Okay.
And so you have to be wary of dumbasses who are training fucking mobs everywhere. And a train is when you pull a mob, and then in your run from that mob, you pull another mob and another mob, and then you just create a choo-choo train of fucking infinite death.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you pull it to the zone wall, can actually make the zone impassable for a time. Because people will zone in to the fucking group of fucking mobs and just instantly die. And added to that fear is the danger, and the goal is the fact that if you die, you lose experience in 11. And in 11, you can fucking de-level by losing experience, which in some like edge cases can cause every piece of gear to unequip itself from you because you were barely able to equip it at all,
I
which means you
remember
have to
you
go get
telling me about
backup
this
gear.
years ago, and it sounded fucking infuriating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in FF11, the overworld is the content area, and it is stress, right? In 14, when you're wandering through your overworld, it's to get to the location you need to go. Or you're running a side quest, which is kill these 8 dogs over here, and you hop on your mount and you go over and you kill them. It's
Original and reborn.
wowish. Yeah,
Okay.
it's wowish. There's nothing out in that overworld that is going to nightmareize you.
Wowish.
You won't de-level. It's a quest hub. It works like your normal ass video game. Something like did you ever play Kingdoms of Amalur?
Yes, I tested it extensively.
That.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's your standard MMO template.
Mm-hmm.
So when they make a zone like this new Baja zone, it's gigantic and everything in it is super dangerous, and you lose experience when you die.
Wow.
But it has its own separate leveling system.
Okay.
So it's not going to pull levels off your character. It'll pull levels off the middle rank, which is the rank unique to the zone. And it has its own quest lines. It has its own different mechanics. There's a giant 48-man instance that you can queue into if you're in there for long enough, that kind of thing. And overall, it's actually been really successful. I've been playing it all week. It's a ton of fun. I've run Castrum, which is the 48-man thing, a bunch of times. Getting in it and organizing that is occasionally a pain. But yeah, it's been really, really successful. What's way more interesting than anything about Baja is that this is the 7th attempt at this kind of content in FF14. And this is the first one that has been a success. They have wanted to do a fucking like, hey, what if we did an old style MMO kind of thing? Like 11, right? A big wide open what do you call it? Non point A, point B, point 3, etc. Non-linear thing where everybody's running around and doing all sorts of shit. And like it has bombed almost every single time and been a trash fire. And they'll spend like, an entire patch cycle doing the live letters going, oh man, we're working really hard on this one. It's going to be so good. And then it comes out and you're like, we lost out on a dungeon and a new feature and these bug fixes so that you could do this thing, and it sucks. They did something called Diadem, which was basically this idea but with a lot of flying, and it was so bad and so disliked by the community that they took it down to completely rework it for the next for 2 patches later. And then they put it back up, and it was so bad that it died just instantaneously. Like people got the rewards they wanted and just dumped it, and it remained completely dead. So it was like 7 months of work for something people blew out in a day and a half and hated. And then they fucking just gave up on it, and later on ended up folding it as like it has now become a dedicated gathering zone for a side quest about building houses. Like it doesn't even have its old content anymore. They're just like, if you want to do this this side quest series about building homes for the poor or whatever, you can go to this zone where you fly around and gather all these cool materials. Isn't that zany? And you're like, this is just Diadem Part 3, and you don't know what to do with it, but you don't want to make new assets, so you just fucking...
Instead of iterating on the same version to make it better, they just make it new content instead.
So Then comes in Stormblood something called Eureka, which was attempt number 3. And Eureka was where you would get your relic weapon, which is the basic distinction in 14 is if you want to get the strongest weapon, you can either raid for it, and if you're good enough, get it immediately, or you can fucking grind for it, and that's your relic, right? And they're, fancy weapon models, lots of fancy weapon glows. And they did Eureka, and I want to say there are 3 Eurekas. It's Animos, which is wind, Pyros, which is fire, and Hydratos. There might be one I'm forgetting. Well, people in the chat will let me know which one I forgot. But there were 4, huh? Okay. Pagos. I forgot about Pagos. Okay. So Animos comes out, and these were each patch would come out with one. Animos comes out, and you're like, hey, this is cool. There's, it's a lot closer to what you're going for. What do you got to do? And the answer is you have to grind on boss monsters. And then it turns out nobody knows how to spawn them. And then it gets discovered that the fastest way to actually do anything in this zone is to load into the zone with 72 people and get into one big giant group and literally AFK until somebody says a boss is up, and then go Zerg it to death, and then go and just chain everything else in the fucking zone. And that was fun. So it was fun for a bit to go around in a big group and everyone's talking shit, and it's it's a big community thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really, 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 really fucking grindy.
Okay.
And the rewards were bad. And then Pagos comes out, and it's a little better, but still bad. And then Pyros comes out, and it's a little better, and it's still bad. And then fucking Hydratos, which is the final one, has all these new mechanics added to it. And it's actually kind of fun, but you have to go through the other 3 shitty ones to get to it. Pagos was the worst? Okay, regardless. You get to a weird problem where you discover that it was designed wrong. And the weird problem is they go, okay, 72 people can do this whole thing at once, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you hit a 73rd person, then it starts a new instance, and then people file in. And then the bosses in the area will scale to how many players there are, right? And then you discover they only scale so much. And then once people have gotten through the first and second and third one, and they're all in the final one, and you go, hey, I'd like to start this, you end up in a situation where you go into Animos, and there's like 6 people in the whole thing, and you can't kill anything. You can't kill anything. I had a friend of mine even test it, where he went to the weakest of all the bosses with a full party of 4 people, and the boss has moves that have like a floor for how much damage they do that kills you outright every time, because
so the scaling broke.
So the scaling is just broken. And it's like, oh great, this is now so unpopular that it's uncompletable unless you're playing on like Sunday nights. And then you get all the way to the end, and this is my favorite part, and you get the final weapon glow that you've worked on for 6 months. You get the fanciest sword and the fanciest weapon glow.
Mm-hmm.
And the glow they add to it is so bad that it looks like it's removed the texture from the item. And it looks like a work in progress 3D model. And no one wants it anymore.
It's good. It's good incentive. It's good.
Like,
hold on a second, though. Can't you see a reward before you go into something, though? Because you're seeing
not when it's a relic item, because they take so long to fucking to grind out. So what happened is that a couple people got it like really fast, and then everyone went, "Oh my god, is that what they really fucking look like?" Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Here, yeah, you know what? I found a video, Wooly. You can just watch it, skim around at any point where you can see any of these weapons.
Okay.
The glow is so bad, it actually looks like it burns the texture off the items. And they look terrible. Like, they look fucking terrible. And that was your
Okay. Yeah.
that was your reward for like 8 months of grind.
I mean, it's not terrible, but it's just dated. It looks really dated for what this is.
Like, I'll compare it to
it's not going to match with anything that
anything
like, you're going to wear, though. That's going to look awful standing next to whatever.
For example, Wolves, here's a video of the fucking final thing you got from the expansion prior that you can take a look at. It's called the Cronus Lux. It's the Dark Knight sword that I got. And it's like, that looks like a thing that you spend a lot of time working on, and it's fancy, and it glows nice.
The lighting is, yeah, it's more consistent.
So just, Jesus Christ. And so Baja comes out, which is attempt number 7. And all the gear looks great. It's really easy to do. All the problems I described are fixed. There's a couple new ones. But all in all, hey, good job. 7th time's the charm. You guys did it.
It reminds me of the golden weapons in Overwatch, where I was just like, I don't want these. Why is this a reward? This looks terrible. They look
yeah, the golden weapons look like terrible. Do you remember the the collector's edition of Gears of War 3 had like a solid gold Lancer?
Yeah.
And it looked horrible. And just it even made you stand out from a distance.
It's like, at the very minimum, just design something that'll like match the costume aesthetic that you've got going on. I think for most people, they want to match what they've got going on more than a big shiny glowy legendary thing.
Yeah,
maybe, I don't know. I have no way to fully
it's funny because in 14 what you see is that everybody earns their relics, and you have 4 months of every single character that cares is running around with a lightsaber equivalent.
Right.
And then after that, people tend to start using the versions that are the same weapon model, just no glow.
Man, like, yeah, Apex had some really nice skins, I gotta say. Apex did a wonderful job showing you like lots of different weapon skins that you know, can like find to your liking, and then you kind of take a look at them and like, oh, check it out. This one turns a shotgun into like a zapper, you know, like little fun skins like that I feel the variety of a couple of different textures, again, to match your look, way more important than the single one that just looks super duper like artwork legendary mountaintoppy. Especially if, like, I don't know, I don't get the impression that like that weapon would look less out of place in WoW, whereas in 14, every screenshot I've seen has people looking significantly less big glowy WoW armory, you know?
Yeah. The MMO's been out for so long that there's a really wide variety. Everything from I'm wearing a coat, or I'm wearing a sweater and I have a stick, to like the weapons you get from the hardest fucking raid in the game are glowing so brightly you almost can't see the shape of the weapon anymore, because there's so many effects on them.
I know I have multiple friends that play 14 that they just take screenshots of their characters, like and like post little candids, and most of the time they're kind of just wearing normal-ish fashion and just posing in these like locations, like Instagrammy in a way. But it's like, I'm not seeing a ton of over-the-top ridiculous armor. I'm seeing pretty toned down.
Well, people who tend to Instagram up their characters are usually like casualing it. It says a lot that one of the most popular glamour items in the entire game is for paladins, it's an item that makes your shield into an invisible nothing. So you just don't have a shield anymore at all.
Interesting. Okay.
Hey, Wooly, what's your interest on matchmaking etiquette?
Matchmaking etiquette.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you what, like, it's nice when it's there, because when you pair up and you have a good match with somebody and you both leave feeling good about the way it went, and you kind of have a little connection with the person. I've added people to my friends list just because I had a really good set with them, and then sent them a message afterwards about it, and they replied going like, yeah, that was great. I'd love to spar sometime.
So that's not even what I mean. I mean about the perceived right to matchmake. Let me explain.
Please do.
So remember I said in the Bajan thing, there's a 48-man thing that you can do?
Mm-hmm.
So the way that you actually get into it is everybody in your 72-man zone, there needs to be, I think it's like 24 or more people that are high enough rank to do the big raid, right? And then after 1 hour of the instance being up, the thing will pop and allow people to queue in, right? This leads to a bunch of problems. Number one, because you lose experience when you die, if you go in with a bunch of shitheads, you're probably just going to wipe a bunch of times and end up getting nothing and losing out more than you had. However, if you see that only 8 people are queuing and you go, well, I'm not going to queue until there's more people, guess what? It never fills up. And so you're fucked. You're like, no, it'll actually time out and it won't even start. Okay? So there's your first problem. Your second problem, somewhat unique to North America, is the first fight is 2 different bosses that should ideally die within the same 5-minute span. But if you have 48 people and 35 of them go to fight one boss and it dies 10 minutes before the other one, everybody wipes because no one listens.
Mm-hmm.
So the solution to this is, okay, guys, there's a Discord. Here's what you're going to do. They're going to call out, hey, I want to run a Castrum run at 2:30 p.m. If you want in, talk to the fucking guy running this party. They're going to do 4 parties. Okay, you talk to the guy, you get in a party finder. Then all 4 teams go stand outside the instance and all try and sync up when they enter the instance so they can all get into the same instance. If they don't, you all have to back out and try it again. Okay, you spent the 10 minutes getting 48 people into the same instance. You now have to kill an hour until the thing can pop. All right, you've killed an hour, the thing popped. Now you all have to queue up instantly, because if the other groups in the instance actually queue in and beat one of your groups, now you're going in with 2 of the groups and a bunch of randoms, and everyone's going to argue over who goes where and who does what and all this, and it's a fucking mess.
You just invented kryptonite that I didn't even know I hated.
Uh-huh.
Oh my, yeah, I'm closing the game. I'm not playing.
So here's the thing, and here's where it gets really crazy. That's all pretty awful, but it's actually been relatively smooth. I've done a bunch of runs. I literally go into the Discord, I go, hey, I want in this one. And the guy goes, okay, join the party. And I go in, I spend an hour, and I do the thing. This is the new content's biggest problem, right? Is that it can be very annoying to get into. A lot of people don't do it. This is just more efficient. You can, as a normal player,
ignore it,
but you're way less likely to get in, and you're much less likely to get into a group that beats it. Right?
Okay. It's if you're trying to like get a competent run going.
Yeah, right. Okay. Because you want to be if you get a good group Everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody gets all their rewards within 15 minutes.
Right.
If you get a bad group, you can wipe and blow an hour, right? The Eureka thing that I mentioned called Hydratos, it had a version of this called BA. I'm not even going to bother with the full name. It's called BA. And this fucking thing was the matchmaking nightmare that I can't believe they even thought it up. Because BA would say, hey, you're in the zone. Everyone's in the zone. The 48-man thing is coming up. Get ready. It'll pop according to criteria that I don't fully understand. And the way that you enter into it is not by queuing up as a party. It's by 48 portals will spawn at various points of the map, and whoever touches them first gets in.
Yeah.
And it was
fun.
56. My bad.
That's fun.
And here's the best
Control
part.
That. Exert your Discord control over that.
And here's the best part. If you wiped in that raid, which was actually very difficult, it would kick you out. You couldn't run it again. You couldn't raise people off the ground.
Yeah, okay. So a design decision like that to me says that we intend for you to not have control over this. We want you with strangers. We want you out of your element. That's what that speaks.
That's a great idea. But in the reality of the situation, that makes it uncompletable for 9 out of 10 attempts.
Massively unfun. Sounds interesting on paper, but yeah.
And so you got into this very bizarre situation where people would be hovering around the teleport spots, and then random people would just happen by and walk in and go, "Oh, cool." And then the people that, like, you're not part of the group. What are you doing in here?
But like, what if you are a group of competent people, but your makeup of classes is not balanced, right? Like, that sounds
in the new one, when you queue up, you're allowed to change classes into whatever. Okay. And if you don't have the classes that are that you would, if you only have a DPS, but they're like, dude, we need a healer, you can actually use an item to turn you kind of into a pseudo healer and use like cures that you essentially pick up off the ground. So they've made it like flexible. In this new one. And I'm sure that for the next iteration of this, they will look at these kinds of problems and be like, okay. And it's only a problem in certain regions. Japan doesn't seem to have a problem with this matchmaking because the way that Japan looks at doing content, people that don't know how to do it or aren't confident in doing it don't run into the portal. Out here, oh, cool, I got a shot. I'm going to walk in. Hopefully the other people are good enough.
How is Square with like responding to emergent gameplay patterns that the players create?
Let me answer that with okay. So when Stormblood came out, Dark Knight players were really unhappy with their class. And they said, can you please change Dark Knight, please? And they said it might take a bit. And then they buffed Warrior 4 times and then said at the 4.1 patch, maybe on the next expansion we'll fix the class. Does that answer your question?
So no, then. Just
the answer for I told you about Eureka. The answer to complaints in Eureka was we'll improve it in the next stage of Eureka.
Okay. One step away from we nerfed what you wanted, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Monk has been bad for like 4.5 years.
Because I've heard about like smaller MMOs pre WoW, about how, yeah, like a live service team that like finds a way to, you know, like flow with where the players take the meta can be a really fun experience. Um,
Hmm.
and I've read stories of not just like Eve, but like other games where, like, yeah, unintended things occur, unexpected behaviors end up with the dev team just leaning into it and going like, okay, yeah, let's iterate around this, or let's give people that, or whatever the case is, based on how they're playing and stuff.
It's a really fun, like it's almost like it's become like genuinely enjoyable to me how funny it is. Um, Square Enix is a Japanese company and they're very cautious with
Yep,
balance.
for sure.
So you'll get an MMO community which
Cautious
is
is one word to use.
really great at mathing out just how effective certain things are. And so you'll have three classes that are very similar. Then you'll go like, wow, Bard's like just straight up 10% behind the other two of its type. Like it just does 10% less damage. It does,
Mm.
and the buffs that it gives, it's just, and then they're like, we hear you, we're gonna look at Bard. And then they put out in the
Sorry, can
patch
you hold on a
notes.
second? I think
I can hold on a second.
someone's at my door. Give me a
Oh,
second.
someone's at your door.
Oh, have you got that? Okay, cool. Never mind. Just a little DoorDash.
uh they'll put out a patch note and goes, guys, we looked at Bard and we have one of their moves do 10 more damage. And then within, 10 seconds, somebody goes, that's a 0.002% damage increase. That is actually nothing. That is. Oh, you remember when we talked about how Call of Duty games can create placebo nerfs?
Mm-hmm.
That's the attempt at a placebo buff, but it doesn't
Okay.
work because the
Okay.
player base has too much information. It's funny.
We
So
we
when
made we made the bang louder.
yes, like legitimately. So yeah, if there's something in 14 that drives you absolutely crazy and it's anything less than a total disaster, you
Learn
could
to live with it.
probably wait up to a year for it
Learn
to
to live
be
with it.
fixed or changed.
Okay.
Um, when Stormblood came out and I didn't like what they did to Dark Knight, which is the class that I play the most, I ended up switching classes for the entire expansion. Like it was just
Just fuck
nope,
it.
that
Yeah. Okay.
just they're not going to do it. I don't like Monk players have it so bad, and I feel so bad for them because like 3.5 years ago, they changed the class to be just not fun to play. Like it was technically effective, but no one had any fun playing it anymore. And they kept complaining, "Hey, we want to hit buttons fast." And they went, "We hear you." So we changed the damage on this. And you're like, "No." And they're like, "We hear you. We hear you. Fix it. Please. I want to hit fast buttons."
Mm.
And then as of like the last live letter, they're like, so we're going to rework Monk in the next patch. So in about 3 months.
Yeah, I can't say for certain, but it definitely sounds like a lot of these things you describe over time are things where like the issue is equally, well, it's the game is the game and the dev team is the dev team, but there's a part of it where you're just like, but also there's like a sort of a way that Japanese companies tend to handle these things that is very, very apparent, and this is no exception. You're gonna see
There
a level of, again, you said I forgot what the word you used, but stubbornness is a thing, you know.
there's a enormous feeling when a feature comes out in 14 and people start to complain about it, that your complaints are heard but the next 3 months of work have already been decided on.
Right. Yeah.
So it's getting slotted in
Mm-hmm.
as first or second thing to start on in 14 weeks.
Mm.
You know, and
And there's no,
it's a real it takes a real long time to turn the ship kind of feeling.
and like they don't ever talk about like staging servers or like stuff like that, right? Or like if people talk about like
Test
pipelines.
servers? No,
Yeah.
they're not going to do that. No.
Okay. Right.
They're not going to do that because they don't want the story spoiled.
Right. Yeah. Right. That makes sense.
Because it's an MMO that actually the story actually matters.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Wow. Okay.
all that being said, and yes, I'm aware that I make the game sound like shit, but these are just the
You do?
irritations of somebody who's played it for a long time. Because the stuff that's good is always the same stuff. Is I like hanging out with my friends and playing these kinds of encounters, and I enjoy the story, etc., etc., etc. When a piece of content like this comes out and they finally nailed it, hooray! I'm now excited for this type of content to be iterated on in the future.
You wanna feel cool with your friends and barely make it past the finish line.
Yes.
This is the goal. Yeah.
Specifically, I want to barely make it past the finish line as I turn to see other people trip and fall and not make it.
You can asterisk that last one.
Yeah. But yeah, I've had a ton of fun in that new content. It's just a lot of hanging out with your pals in Discord and just run around sniping mobs. It's fun.
Okay.
And that's been pretty much it for my week. If you want to check out my streaming crap, you can check that out at twitch.tv/PatStaresAt. It's Amnesia and Doom this week. They're both coming out tomorrow.
Okay. Over yonder on this side of things. Yeah, I had a week. Some stuff happened. I guess what's on my mind is the process of finally getting back into upper ranked Teppen.
I saw you made it to 682.
Yeah, I made it. Now I'm at 5 something. I'm crawling. I'm trying to get back into that top 500, and basically, I found the style. I found a new deck. I found a plan. You know, I was really experimenting with a couple of different things. I ditched the zero that I mentioned that got nerfed, and like Nioh is kind of in the dust, unfortunately, right now. For a while, I was playing a Morrigan deck that...
Would you say he's dead weight, huh?
He is, in fact, dead weight. Or at the very least, the deck I was running him with was dead weight. It might be different now that new cards have come out because they've introduced the Okami cards and they've introduced Sengoku Basara to the game. But I switched over to Morrigan for a while. I was getting some good matches with Morrigan. Basically, her whole style, or the deck I built, was based on causing cards to get dizzy. Mm-hmm. And she plays a lot of cards that'll make the opponent the opponent won't be able to attack. And then she has a super which anything that's dizzy gets killed. Right? So that was working pretty well. You know, anyone who tries to come in building up one big super card, it's like, all right, you're either going to get it killed or it's going to get stolen, so that's a dumb move. So everyone has to kind of play in a passive and patient way. And that was working, but the win rate wasn't fast enough. I was getting like, at first it was like 50-50, and then I made a couple tweaks, and then it was like, I was winning like, every 2 for 1 loss per se. Then it became like, like 66%. Right. And stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, but like you'll be moving, but you're not going to get like to that upper echelon. You're not going to get to the real players where you find the single move you made lost the entire match. And that's what I was having fun with and got used to back in the day with Zero. So I made the switch over to Akuma, and I started fucking around with Akuma, and I finally found a game plan that was pretty good. Akuma's got 2 supers. The main one is obviously Raging Demon, what that does is if you have a card that can, certain cards have like multiple levels to them. So, for example, any Monster Hunter cards that are like monsters that have two forms will have a second form that they level up into, right? Or Dalamadur will be like at level 1 or at level 0. It's just it does no damage and has a ton of life, and when you level it up, it gains it kills everything on the board, for example. So
that's about right.
Yep. So that was working for a little bit. Again, about the same win rate as Morrigan though, and then I finally found the beauty of Ashura Senju, I believe. It's the Akuma's second super. What it does is it makes a card that you put down invincible and switches it to another slot. Right? So that right there is wonderful, because a lot of people will, if you make like a really annoying card show up on the board, someone will put something strong down in front of it to block that damage. And if you just kind of wait until the arrow is about to touch and then switch board, drop that super on, and then it'll switch slots, they'll have no way to react to it, and then you're getting that damage. So
that seems infuriating.
Well, again, like Teppen at basic level ends up playing like a card game where you just take turns back and forth. But to win, you have to capitalize on the non-card game aspect of it, which is the timer line. Like that's the inches between the timer line are where you get to champions or you don't get to champions. That's the dividing factor. So yeah, it ends up being pretty fun, because like if you play a card with that in particular, like for example, Tyrant T103, right? Tyrant comes out on the board. It's pretty expensive. It's a 6-point card, and out of 10, that is, and like it attacks, pretty weak, but does decent. It has decent staying power. The problem is that its attack is really slow. When it dies, which it most assuredly will, it replaces its spot with a super tyrant.
Yep.
Which does same attack, a little bit more life, but it goes from a really slow attack to a really fast one, right? So this is an example. Like, it's a really good card in black decks. A lot of people do end up using this card a lot. And
oh man, I looked up the card and I'm so happy. The Super Tyrant card is the one from the original game and not from the remake.
Oh, with the mask on? It's it's got like, oh no, it's not a mask. It's like it's got
double claws.
Double claws in the veins. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, it looked like a mask because of how different the face is compared to
it does look like a mask.
But yeah, that's a standard example of like a black deck card that you use that comes out really good. So like, that works out. And it's one of these things where that strategy's been in the game for a while now. That's not particularly a new season strategy, but for anyone who doesn't play the game, I'm just explaining what it is. Anyone who plays Teppen is rolling their eyes because they're well aware of what this is. But yeah, you just kind of use that, and in combination with some of the newer cards, like Demon Serpent Orochi shows up, which is last boss of Okami, obviously, and card like that is pretty interesting because it costs 8 points to play it. It's got 8 damage and 8 health, and everything you do to it does 1 damage, and every time it takes damage, it drops its attack as well. So it's the Orochi. So every time you touch it, it loses a head. And then it also splits the damage it does across units on the board and the actual user. So Yami's the last boss. Never mind. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah.
That's the last boss of Okami 1.
Yes, sir. Sure. Yami is the right one. Anyway, so yeah, that ends up being a nice resilient card to stick around on your board as well. And then you just kind of combine this with resurrection cards you know. Yeah, you end up basically filling your board up with a bunch of annoying shit that lives twice, occasionally turns invincible, and if anything particularly threatening comes out, you can use Fate of the Unworthy, which is a card with the girl from RE5 on it. I forgot her name, but
Excelligion.
Yep, where she's getting all like ripped apart, and you just kill cards in front of you.
I like that. I like
yeah.
that you can tell what person the cards are in a lot of cases if you're familiar enough with the goddamn property.
Yeah, I saw more RE characters that I just completely didn't recognize. That I'm just
there's
like,
a lot.
It's crazy how far this fucking rabbit hole goes. It's kind of nonsense. You know, and and in the meantime, another thing going on too in the background is like you always need to have like, I guess, like a sort of a second strategy for what you're doing. And I think I've mentioned it before, but like Sigma is a card that has infinite revenge, meaning he's not that strong as a card, but he comes back forever. Unless you put a seal on him or something that makes his abilities no longer work, whenever he dies, he will come back stronger indefinitely, and he'll cost less. So Sigma is as annoying as he is in the Mega Man X franchise. You know,
that's our boy.
Yeah. When you combine that, but you're only allowed to use one of them, right? A lot of the best cards you can only use one. If you, in this case, if you combine it with another Sigma card called Possessing Malice, it kills that card. And in theory, like you use it on it kills a card and replaces it with a fresh version of itself. So you use it when a really strong card is about to die by just refreshing it in a way, and it does the damage that the cost of the card is to play, but in some cases it's really worth it. With Sigma, however, killing him and replacing him on the board theoretically means sending him back into your deck and replacing a new one on the board. So then you've just exploited the situation to create 2 Sigmas. And then if you do it again, you get 3. And then you get towards the end of the game where people are using their last biggest cards, and you have 3 Sigmas, and they're all really cheap to play, and they just keep coming back, and it's just bullshit.
That doesn't sound like much fun to actually play against.
No, it's not. You know, but that's some of what I'm using to kind of like make my way up there, just to straight up spill it out for people and whatnot. And then there's a couple other really good cards where you can just like attack immediately and shit like that help modify this whole situation. But yeah, all in all, using the right cards, but also having a really good control over like getting in certain actions right as that line is about to touch you, but it's not touching you yet. That's the secret. That's the key, you know. Mastering that little arrow timing is everything. Which again I've described as scrubbing the phone as fast as you can in some cases from where your super is to the card that you want to touch, you know, or shit like that. So that's Teppen. I finished.
There are so many goddamn Resident Evil cards.
Yeah,
I've been going through them in the background, and it's like, oh my god, there's so many.
I wish I could pull up the card I saw that I didn't recognize, but it was really just this like who in the grand fuck is this person? You know, I think I gotta take screenshots of it next time.
Was it Manuela Hidalgo?
I don't think it was. It was somebody who, upon death, like caused damage to hurt everybody on the board. So I guess it's like someone who, like, died and blew up, and
that's probably Mikhail.
How would you spell that?
When played, explore for ammo. No, because he died like that.
I don't know.
Incendiary device? Who the fuck is that? There's a lot of cards in here that say Resident Evil on them. I actually did find a character. I don't know who they are. A character named Tweed. from
Okay.
Day of Nightmares,
Day of
which
Nightmares is just that's one of the packs.
I legitimately don't know who Tweed is.
Okay.
Who is
Um,
this?
who's Josh Stone?
Josh Stone is Sheva's commanding officer in 5.
Wow, that. When does he have a model?
So okay. Well, you played RE5.
I've played 5. I have played
You played
5.
5. Okay. Do you remember when near the end of the village, before you go into the mine cart, a bunch of Maginis on motorcycles show up and try and kill you, and then
God,
the good guys
barely.
show up and shoot all of them?
Barely.
Okay, Josh is running that. Do you
Okay.
remember when in the oil refinery you get trapped and you have to escape from the inside of a building and you're like running on all these catwalks? Josh helps you
Yeah.
there as well.
Okay,
And
okay, okay.
when you right before you jump onto the boat to fight the big whale boss, Josh is the one driving your little boat.
Huh.
Josh is also the co-op partner of Jill in the DLC campaign Final Escape. Is it called Final Escape?
Okay.
The Last Escape? I forget.
Enrico
He's in there.
Marini.
Oh, Enrico? Yeah. What about Enrico?
Is that like
He's the head of the Stars Bravo team in RE1. He gets shot in the chest by Wesker when you find him in the caves.
okay? All right. Well, yeah. It really does just blow my mind how many people with guns show up on these cards. That are I'm like I had
Oh man,
no
they got
idea.
the fucking Umbrella Corps fucking assholes in this game. Who even cares? Who even
Yeah.
gives a single shit?
But yeah. Anyway, wait, one more. Shona.
Shona?
Shona.
Is she Chinese?
No, it is a dude. He's got a shaved military man head, and he looks like a big old military dude.
How do I spell it?
Shona.
Is that guy from? Is he
I'm gonna try to show you a
shaved head?
picture. I'm showing you a picture if I can.
That guy's got to be from Operation Raccoon City, then.
Okay. Yeah. Shona.
I don't know.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
I have it on good authority that Shona is the medical expert from Spec Ops Operation Raccoon City.
fucking what? Yeah. Okay. Sure. Let's make sense of that. Anyway, so yeah, no, that's you know, I'm crawling back up there in Teppen, and I hope to continue to, you know, make it up there. But this time around, I'm definitely feeling like everyone who's in like top 100, anyone with double digit rankings that I'm fighting, sees my deck and within seconds are like, yeah, fuck you, buddy. Like, just they like have the perfect strategy to counter it. And
You know, this reminds me of something you said a long time ago when we were talking about Smash, in which you we were talking about the potential Capcom All-Stars game, in which you describe Capcom as having a roster of characters second literally only to Nintendo. And I'm scrolling through this list of literally who's from one franchise, and like, man, they have a million characters.
Yeah. Like everything that we think of when you think of the Capcom logo are like, you're thinking of like 50 poster boys and girls, you know?
Yeah.
You're not really thinking of like the ridiculous extensive expanded universe with hundreds.
Yeah.
Mega Man and Ari alone, in terms of just like, you know, robots and random soldiers that fight zombies, there's fucking hundreds of them.
And then there's even like, you know, like dozens or if not hundreds of characters that are like there's a level of obscurity in which anyone who played the game knows that character and really likes them, but anybody who hasn't played that game will literally never see that character ever because they're one layer deep. So if I said something like "good job, Doodle," there's a portion of the audience that will go, "Oh man, that character would be great to see in anything." but it would
Right.
mean nothing to literally anyone else.
Like, do you remember in Okami, like an old couple living in a house that were like
Oh yeah, Mr. and
butchering?
Mrs. Orange.
Yeah.
And she does a Shungoku Satsu to you.
Wait. No. Not. Hold on a second. That's not who I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
There's Mr. and Mrs. Orange, but there's another couple that are like getting weird, strange meats.
Uh-huh.
What the fuck were their names?
Weird meat.
Mr. and Mrs. Cutter.
I don't remember them.
Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Cutter are this creepy couple from Okami, and every night the sound of blades being sharpened can be heard from inside the old shack. These two are getting ready to carve up some lost souls for the cooking pot, right? And I'm just like,
Oh.
who are these again? And then when you play that card at level 2, they transform into Crow Tengu. You know, like they turn into crow demons, and it's like,
Oh, so that's what that was about.
yeah. And I'm like, oh my god, that vague memory from the game comes up where like that was a place where you end up meeting them and they're just in disguise as these humans, and like oh, like they pulled that shit out, you know, like they're absolutely pulling, yeah, they're grabbing everyone, and it's not, and again, it's really nice art too, you know, but they're all in there. It's fucking impressive, man. But yeah, sadly, I can report no God Hand in the game.
Not yet.
Not yet. But for
Because
some
I
reason,
tell you what, you know what'd be a great card? Poison Chihuahua.
Poison Chihuahua would be great.
That would be a great card.
Yep.
You're not Alexander. That's a great card.
Or like honestly, Gene could, like, there's enough going on that he should be a character, not a card. Gene should absolutely.
Oh
be
yeah,
a
and you could just have like 20 cards that are just moves.
His moves. You just have his moves down. You know.
Yeah.
Devil Hand. Every one of those characters. Elvis. Yeah, that'd be fun.
The man in gorilla suit.
Ballbuster.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, Teppen goes. I finished ODST. ODST is easily the best music in the Halo franchise. It's actually, there was a bit of a weird blessing in disguise in the fact that, like, when the game fucked up on PC and I replayed it, and I got back up close to where we were on Heroic, it was a struggle, but in doing so alone, I had to kind of replay these missions as the rookie, and got to enjoy the atmosphere of the game. And yeah, like it's got the best soundtrack. It's easily got the best soundtrack of Halo. And I think in the end we kind of had a little discussion about like how things go down. And now, without having played 4 or 5, I feel like 2 is just standout best. 2 Anniversary at the very least. When I think about Halo and when I think about what I would love to revisit and just think about and have good memories of, it's specifically that. 2 Anniversary is just an absolute banger from top to bottom. A perfect like spread of level variety, some of the funnest weapons in the game, in the franchise. The battle rifle in that is just a joy to use. Switching to Arbiter, the plot threads, everything about it is just incredible. And then I put Reach second for the feeling of rolling with a squad and the change up to the flavor. Like 2 represents to me the best of what a Master Chief adventure can be and should be, and Reach kind of represents like what an alternate take on that with like non-Master Chief characters can be at its best. And ODST is a really good version of that too, but like it Reach just hits all these notes that are I don't know, that just felt extra great. So that's kind of where things sit for me right now with my Halo retrospective.
So I've heard a lot of weird things about 4, a lot of arguing.
Yeah.
I have not heard any arguing about 5.
Yeah.
I've heard near universal derision
Correct.
about 5. And
Correct.
then like I think it was last week where 343 came out and just said, "Yeah, we're not going to bother adding 5 to the MCC. We're not going to do it. It's too hard. It's very technically weird. So we're just going to not do it." And everyone was like, "Okay." And I'm
5
like, "Man,
was
I really want to play 5."
I mean, and
Like,
and it wasn't even that long ago, so they have a good reason for it, But yeah,
yeah.
no, it's fine. It's fine. I'll say this.
I watched like the big pivotal cool story cutscene out of 5 completely out of context, and I'm like, I can immediately see
Hmm.
why people fucking hate this game, because holy shit.
Oh, did you cutscene and wiki dive the Halo games?
I did not cutscene or wiki dive it. I was just like, people kept talking about, because when you were going through all the Halo games, there was like this Halo osmosis in your field of influence.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody kept complaining about a fight scene in Halo 5. There is a fight scene that is just like the worst thing that has ever happened to Halo. I'm like, okay, I'll go watch this. I'm like, whoa, that's terrible. Wow. Just right out, like, even like outside of everything, just wow.
Yeah,
That sucks.
I mean, walking away from everything I've played that's been Bungie,
Yeah.
everything has been at worst pretty fucking good, So now everything after that is the 343 era. So but yeah, I'm definitely also like, I'm haloed up. I'm nice and I'm chiefed
You are
up.
haloed up.
So we can definitely
You're all chiefed up on a Monday.
Yeah, we can put that over there for a sec. I got what I needed out of that and got some other stuff coming. But
it's a really interesting situation with the Halo series, because despite the arguments about the quality, because it was a total development shift, like, you can just be like, no, it stopped, or I can stop there, I'm fine. Right? Imagine they kept making Metal Gear games after 5
with a different studio.
Like,
yeah,
there would be a number of people, possibly me included, that would be just like, no, I'm fine.
Yeah, mentally, right? Mm-hmm. I can see that. So in this particular case, knowing that 4 is at the very least divisive and at best it's something that people love, I do want to know, but like I can come back to that. There's no rush. I waited all this time, so that's fine. I got some other stuff I'd like to do. So yeah, gonna swerve away from Halo and bring something else out. Some other stuff that people might have some fun checking out though. So don't worry about it if you wanted to see 4. There's some other ideas and some other fun LPs you'll be enjoying. New LP starting this week, of course. Then yes, we've got that. I went and took a look back at Bloody Roar 3. You don't hear about Bloody Roar often when it comes to fighting games these days.
I do in my own mind.
It's a franchise that everyone has touched and has enjoyed, but it kind of just exists in a space that is like almost like they're like FGC separate in a way. Like you're not really hearing as much about it.
I love Bloody Roar 3.
Yeah, so that's the one I went to because I only know I know like the demo of 2 is what I spent the most time on, and then later on when Primal Fury and 4 came out, people were like, "Fuck, go back." More so on 4 than Primal Fury.
4 is like, how much time do you put in 4?
None.
Okay, because the girl that was on the cover, the lobster girl that has like the fucking
Sure,
like sword hand.
Sure.
Her jab is so fast, I think it beats out like all but like 2 moves, and you just do it.
So you didn't have an Xbox or a Nintendo, so
No, not at the time. No.
they got a completely separate game. Instead of 4, they got Primal Fury / Extreme, which
Yeah.
was an entirely different Bloody Roar game from 4. And people did enjoy those. People did enjoy that, but in general, the love is at 3. It seems that's where it kind of has the consensus. So
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
went back to that. Had some fucking excuse me, dumb like technical foibles and stuff, but like once it got going, really really fun. Considering I know Stun the Insect and I know Long the Tiger from just again playing the demo disc back in the day. I didn't really know that Yugo, poster boy, Wolf Kid, was like this sick ass rushdown boxer that
They're
had,
all cool, man.
yeah, that had like Dudley Steppen and chains. I didn't.
Everyone
I didn't know that was
on
his
that
move
roster
list.
is cool.
I forgot that entire like thing.
Godot the Lion.
Gatto is great. Yeah. Nah, dude. And
Zima the Chameleon. Bakaru the Mole. They are all great.
don't forget about Shion the Unborn. Are you ready to be unborn?
So 4 started going a really bizarre ass shit, but 3 has the one character that's the weirdo, and I feel that worked fine.
Weirder than
because he was the
Busuzuma.
villain. Well, he was a chameleon.
Yeah. I always felt that the half beast, the cat girl, was just lazy because it's just like
Umineko.
Just fucking
Yuriko. That's it.
Just admit she's a cat. Stop with this half beast shit.
Hey, do you know what I say to that, Wooly? Nioh.
Cowardice. They should have just went for it. Anyway, Bloody Roar 3, yeah, man, like that's a franchise that absolutely. I don't know if it has the groundswell to get a new entry yet, but there's no reason why a collection doesn't exist.
If you don't know anything about Bloody Roar, and you only have tangentially, whatever knowledge of it, that game's big success wasn't even, hey, you can turn into furries in the middle of the fight. It's no game has ever given me the feeling of I am beating this motherfucker into this wall harder than that game.
Yeah.
You're doing combos on people and they're slamming against the wall and they are trapped and they are fucked.
I will say there's a competitor in that in Fighting Vipers. Fighting Vipers is also about blowing the wall away and knocking them through it. But yeah, the replays on KOing someone as they go flying through the boundary are as wild in Bloody Roar, especially the stages that are just a hallway with like 5 walls in the way. Yeah, we need to drop a trilogy, drop a Bloody Roar collection, right? Maybe even Bloody Roar quadrilogy.
Does Hudson even still exist?
Hudson, didn't they get acquired? Right, Hudson Soft got bought out.
I want to say they got bought out by Konami.
Yeah, because all the Bomberman stuff became Konami.
Does Hudson even still exist? No,
because that logo from old Bomberman, by Hudson, yeah, that shit's not around anymore. I want to say we get Bloody Roar quadrilogy 1 to 4 / Primal Fury, and then you make a new game eventually with the groundswell, Bloody Roar 5 Beasterizer, and you just go the full.
Well, like Konami won't even make Metal Gear games anymore. Why the fuck do you think they're gonna make goddamn Bloody Roar games?
Just take existing code, put a shitty fucking DVD menu.
They won't even put out the fucking HD collection on a modern platform. Like, what are you talking about?
I forgot it was Konami owned.
It's Konami.
Yeah. Beasterizer.
That shit was dead even back when Konami made games.
I I also took a look at Kirby Fighter 2, and I do have to say I got to apologize because I put that game off for 2 weeks, and it's a Kirby game, so immediately all my mentions blow up, and everyone's like, "Dude, you got to play," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know." So we get around to it, and I'm expecting a 20 minutes at best spent on essentially Kirby as the arena or the Coliseum, like a Kirby boss rush. Because I played Kirby Fighter 1 and kind of just treated it that way. But sitting down, playing it with Reggie, and um, it's got stuff. It's a Smash like, but it was a lot of fun from a competitive angle. At the very least, a basic introduction to it. And some people showed up that were like, "Yeah, we're from the Discord. I'm here to show you some Kirby Fighters 2 tech." I'm like, "Okay." And yeah, like the new character in it, the new Kirby is Wrestler Kirby. And my favorite Kirby power over the years was basically it's one that they kind of modified, and it was original. It was in the original game, but it's like suplex Kirby. Suplex Kirby would be like blue headband and would just dash in, get into a grab stance, and then from that grab you can go into multiple back throw, power bomb, rack, whatever you wanted. Right? Suplex was incredible. It was such a ton of fun because it was basically just like land a rushing command grab and then do whatever the fuck you want. Wrestler just brings suplex back and adds versatility to it. So the dash attack is the same grab that it used to be with all the follow-ups, but now you've got like chest slaps, you've got an uppercut that launches, and then you've got like a rising rush that like can catch you out of the air and then from that position land and go into a command grab stance, or from the air do aerial throws. So imagine if Kirby had a B button from the Aki wrestling games.
Okay.
Fucking great.
I can imagine that.
Fucking great. Has a immensely hard time making it past a roster full of people that are throwing bombs, spears, swords, yo-yos, and every other zoning tool at you, which Reggie made sure to use to the fullest. So I had to earn it.
I can imagine.
I had to earn it, but you kind of work your way in slowly. You got a drop kick, you got a little burning dive that you can do, and like when you land the throws, you make sure it counts. But had a lot of fun with that. So Kirby Fighter 2 is actually quite legit. I was very happy to see that. And like unfortunately though, it's one of these games where it's like you started off and you have 4 characters unlocked of what will probably be like 60. And you just have to actually slowly get everybody. And I'm like, man, I really wish that the Shovel Knight Showdown quality of life could be applied to everything. Because, yeah, I get that. I understand the progression point. But for the purposes of obviously showing off a game on stream, you want to be able to show off the variety too. So temporary unlock codes, please. Keep that as a thing.
I feel like we're enough decades in that if it has not changed, it's not going to change.
It's not going to. But some games have games that I've like shown off. There's been a couple of indie fighting games that have had those features that have been like, oh yeah, just go here and do this thing. One Step from Eden, dude sent me a message and was just like, yeah, here you go. It's a little debug thing. Unlock everybody. Because QA purposes, you generally have that in the game anyway, right? In a lot of cases for QA, you're going to have an unlock everything, because you can't just be like rely on a save file if you're trying to test the saves out and whatnot. So if the feature exists and it's there for QA, why not just kind of have a little thing where you can go temporary unlock, or up to you if you want to save or permanently unlock or whatever. Shovel Knight Showdown gave you the choice. I think it's great to have those options. But yeah, that was that. And I guess this week, last night, 4 a.m., I hit a button. I published a video.
Why 4 a.m.?
Well, two things. One, I had been slapping the shit together and going over and doing a bunch of edits and things on this, and I just was about at that point where I was like, fuck this, just get out of my face, right? But also, 4 a.m. happens to be middle of the day in Japan.
Oh, Ikambokum time.
So prime Ikambokum time overseas. So you want to hit that prime time. You want to hit those real VTube hours. Middle of the night is the perfect time for it. So Woololive has launched, and
Wooly, I'll be really honest. I skimmed around that video. I don't know what it is.
That's correct.
I legitimately can't tell what it is.
That's correct. Good.
What is it?
It's a video that has a cursor on the screen in the first frame of the video.
Fucking Jesus Christ. I didn't catch that.
There's a cursor at my feet immediately. It's good. It's good. Yeah. Everyone has had lots of thoughts. Everyone has had lots of opinions. Everyone has had lots of feedback. And everyone is correct.
Is this the beginning of an ongoing series? What is this?
Who knows? If I had those answers, then you would probably have answers by watching it. But the lack of answers you get by watching it is the exact state of being that I can talk to you about. Is the exact state that this entire thing is in. It is whatever it is, and it is. I don't fucking know, but there it is. It's out there. Sometimes you just make things and you just throw them online, and then you walk away, and then you stop thinking about them.
And then you check out the reactions and be like, more memes.
Yeah.
Needs 10% more meme sauce.
I mean, at the very least, like, you know, the between the last one, the original VTube Wooly thing and this one, like, you know, people were like, hey, what's going on with that? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. But whatever, here's a thing. And yeah, I don't know, not much else to it, but we'll see. Just wanted to get it out of my brain, out of the queue of things. Just throw the project out, see what sticks, and then fucking whatever. Most importantly, it exists because I want it not in my head anymore. I need that real estate back.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, kind of. I need that real estate back, so I need to get it out of my head. So here. Woololive. It's up. Don't think too hard about it. If you have, you know, don't and that's not just you, that's to everybody. Don't overthink it. Don't go too far down the rabbit hole that it encourages you to go down.
Yeah, like it demands questions.
It does. It demands confrontation. But I assure you, and I promise you, you will get no answers from me. And what few answers you do get will not be satisfactory.
Oh, that part I knew.
So, yeah. Anyway, so that went up. Yeah, that's pretty much the week, nice and summed up.
I forgot something that I will mention after the end of your week.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much the week summed up. Last night was pretty fun. I, for the first time, was basically it was Punch Mom's birthday. We had a little fun
happy
hangout.
Birthday, Punch Mom.
And yeah, one of the things we did was I kind of got her some like tie-dye sets and some white clothing, and we did some tie-dyeing. And that's one of those things where you're like, damn, that's a timeless fun activity. And I've never done it. I've always seen videos of people doing it, and it was always like, that shit looks ridiculous in Magic. How does it even work? And then after doing it and then seeing the results this morning, I'm like, oh my god, it's super easy and it looks great, and that's a lot of fun. So yay for tie-dyeing. And that's one of those fashion.
Throw some paint on some white t-shirts, you done.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
She wears tie-dye, so it works out. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything about 13 Sentinels except it continues to be perfect. So
it's pretty perfect.
So yeah, if you want to tune in over on Woolly Versus, you can check us out. We've got Mario Galaxy 2 going right now. We've got 13 Sentinels.
You know what I will say about 13 Sentinels?
Mm-hmm.
13 Sentinels has a unique feeling that I've never seen in a game before. Mm-hmm. You know how we make fun of David Cage's Indigo Prophecy for shedding its ass at the exact 50% mark? 13 Sentinels gets to do something where it blows you away with the grandest revelation that could ever happen in a video game, and then you back out of the character's chapter to see the number 12%.
Yeah. I know exactly that feeling. Yep.
And you're like, and that happens over and over
and over again. Yep.
And you're just like, how can there be more?
Like, there are literally,
how can there be more?
There are literally parts, there are chapters we've played where we're like, you know what? Time to just run away from this character and everything over here.
I'm gonna go start this other one.
I can't handle what's happening on this timeline anymore. It's over. It's exhausting. But anyway, it continues to be perfect. So yeah, Woolly Versus on YouTube, Woolly Versus on Twitch. We are playing Mario Galaxy 2 right now. We're playing 13 Sentinels, starting a new LP this week on Wednesday. Of course, Get Into Fighting Games continues. We will continue to enjoy the quality and scrape the poverty. And this Tuesday will be a special stream, actually. It is a Min birthday stream. So Min is going to be playing some games.
45 years old.
I can't believe he's 80. 80 years young. He'll be coming over, so we'll be doing a birthday stream with Min, playing some Min favorites that, that we both enjoy, and that stuff that we can, just have some fun with. And that'll be the Tuesday special. So please look forward this week to some fun new shit.
I have one last thing to talk about because I forgot that it was this week. Wooly, I'm going to utter a name that I'm sure you're familiar with, but I'm going to probably be disappointed that much of our audience is unfamiliar with. And that name is Tim Rogers.
Oh, I love Tim Rogers, dude. Tim Rogers.
I learned about Tim Rogers from you and your roommate when you explained the review scale of Time to Crate.
Yes, Tim Rogers. I mean, explain that.
Time to Crate is an incredibly simple review scale. It's the amount of seconds after pressing start that you see a generic crate asset in the game, and that's the review score.
It represents the moment that the people making the game gave up utterly and entirely on a creative choice. When you see a goddamn crate.
Tim Rogers is a pretentious, mad genius game reviewer.
I fell in love with and discovered the work of Tim Rogers through his Katamari Damacy review, which was probably 12 pages long back in the day, of which maybe 3 or 4 paragraphs had to do with Katamari Damacy. And the 11 and a half pages had to do with coming to visit him at his flat in Tokyo and just what an experience that would be and what it's like, and also rolling stuff up maybe sometimes. And boy, it's great. It's just great.
Tim Rogers has turned the seemingly unrelated non sequitur into a legitimate art form.
It's been well over a decade now, and there's been different incarnations. Action button, 5 red coins, I believe. And yeah, currently just at 108 on Twitter, I want to say.
What, just the number 108?
I want to say 108 on Twitter is Tim fucking Rogers. God bless. What a champ.
So,
Glad
I
he's
ask
still
you,
around.
Wooly,
yes.
Are you aware of the current status of the Action Button YouTube channel?
No, I am not. I have not been following.
So, Tim, who, according to his recent video, has actually been doing quite unwell, caught corona twice.
Whoa.
Has been putting a lot of time in. I'm going to send you a screenshot of the current Action Button catalog. Tim has a Patreon up and is doing monthly, at least 1 hour long video reviews, all of which are over 3 hours long.
Yeah, these are insanely huge. Okay.
Me, Plague, and Peach Saliva watched his Doom review, in which maybe 25% of that review has to do with Doom.
Yeah, it's still going.
As he waxes poetic about the creation of Doom, how Doom got created, etc., and then dives into stories of him at his lunch table in high school, how he was a Doom poser in exhaustive detail in his college years.
Oh, bless.
It is 3 hours and I want to say 15 minutes long of actual content, and then he's got the 15 minutes that's like, thank you, this person, the Patreon stuff.
Never stop not talking about the thing.
Legitimately one of the best videos I have ever seen on YouTube.
Wow.
So I've been familiar on and off with Tim Rogers, and when Paige started watching, she didn't know who Tim was.
I'm giddy.
And her first question was, "Who's Tim Rogers?" And all I could say was, "He's this guy who's been crazy forever." And at that point in the video, we got to him describing his method for reviewing Doom, because he wanted to review Doom, but how could one review Doom without reviewing all of Doom? So he played all of Doom on multiple difficulties on every single commercially released version that has ever existed.
Hell yeah. Yeah, okay. I see.
Which is a lot of Doom. And as he starts to describe levels in such absurd detail, and you're like, how did you figure this out? And then he starts throwing down the scientific notation structure atlas of every second to second moment of every playthrough of his Doom runs on each platform. And Jesus Christ, Tim is so crazy.
This is Tim.
This is so crazy.
You're describing peak Tim. Absolutely. That's the shit. Man, I'm giddy. Like, I haven't seen the newest stuff. I have, like, again, it's just memories of the text reviews back in the day and a couple of video things in between, but I am very excited to go watch this.
And like the culmination of that massive amount of work of going over every version of Doom that's ever existed is to actually just tell a story about him hanging out with American McGee in Tokyo.
Yep. Sounds good. Sound like
it is
Like,
It is
when
hyperbolic. It is nonsense. It is
Yep.
genius. It is incredible.
I fucking love it. There's just this, like, it's it's so entertaining in its, like, meander and pretentiousness, and at the same time, just, I don't know. Like I said, I remember I was trying to pitch you on it, and, like, yeah, Shmup God Pat was the only other person who was like, oh yeah, no, I'm in there. You fucking read that shit. That's some good shit. There's no one else writing like it, you know? Um, I don't know if, like, being, like, Hunter S. Thompson-ish is, like, an intended thing or not. I don't know. I can't say for sure. All I know is I fucking super, super very much enjoy.
Someone in the chat asks, is he self-aware, though? I would describe Tim as almost cripplingly self-aware.
Yes. Yeah. No.
And one of the reasons his stories are so bizarre is because apparently, and he describes in the Doom video, that he suffers from a rare neurological condition which gives him a perfect eidetic memory of events.
Uh-huh.
Which explains why he can't help but ramble on into nonsense, non sequiturs at every opportunity.
Like, I don't know how to describe it when you're reading a review about something and then you get caught up in the journey, and then, like, 7 pages later, the game comes back up and you just fucking pop off like, yeah, like, there it is. We made it back.
There is a 232 to there's a 28-minute long section of this review of Doom, which is longer than most YouTube videos, that is nothing but reviewing Edge Magazine's review of Doom.
Oh. Okay. All right. So this is the action button Doom review.
So he's doing one of these a month. And the funniest thing is that we watched Doom review first, and then we immediately, the night that we finished it, the three of us hopped on to the FF7 remake review. Because he's got 3 out. He's got FF7 remake, he's got Last of Us, and he's got Doom, and he says he's got 37 more planned, and they will be one a month. And in the FF7 remake review, he describes how, because the review of the remake is so complex and involves not just that new game, but the old one as well, it's going to be uncharacteristically long, and that future versions will likely not be as long, but he guarantees at least 1 hour reviews a month. And then all 3 of them blast through the 180-minute mark.
Okay. Yes.
The Doom one was written while sick from Corona, and it's 3.5 hours long.
I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about, like, I don't know, like, the era of insertcredit.com was, like, so long ago, but, like, people nowadays, people that we're talking to right now, being introduced to, like, content from that fucking yesteryear of video game,
like, literally, like, 15 years ago, I was told by you about Tim Rogers.
I'm very happy for people to get a chance to take a crack at this, because, yeah, games in the what would you call it? Gaming during the Clinton administration.
Yeah.
Right? It's a fucking mood, man. It's a mood. So anyway, yeah, there's something about that too, by the way, where you're saying, like, he played every version of Doom on every single person, on every version possible. And then I'm thinking about how Adam played, or rather watched, every fucking Kimba the Lion thing that he could. Yeah. And then that other video where the dude was like, yo, I fucking went through everything Kirby related ever. And you're just like, this current trend of people on YouTube killing themselves to do the most complete review ever.
Hold on a second. I can get this from a primary source. Hey, Paige, how much time did it take Adam to go through all that Kimba?
Oh my god, just hours and hours. He and I watched it for 4 days straight. 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day Kimba.
Like, I don't know.
He said
like,
months. In the video, he said months of his life.
And that was with me.
Yeah, and that was at what was that, a film festival?
Oh my god, it was all like, oh, we hung out for 3 weeks straight and it was 24/7 Kimba. Just 24/7 Kimba. I know everything about Kimba the Lion now.
Suspicious.
Amazing. Amazing. But like you just like absolutely deteriorating your life in order to get the most complete statement out, which is, in his case at the end, this is not a fucking the Lion King comparison is not what you think it is, and this shit it's fucked, you know? This entire narrative is wildly different and crazy.
Yeah, you finish the Tim Rogers review of Doom and you get to the end and he's like, Doom's really good and it's important.
Yeah.
I'm glad we had to go on this journey to understand that.
Or I read every Halo book and now I'm the Master Chief of Loneliness.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like this newfound like just destroy your life for your craft, you know.
Well, think of how much research and rewatching had to have possibly gone into like the Plinkett reviews.
Right.
Like just editing that together. Like, holy shit.
That last one, just to give full credit, BDG. Shit, 1 second. Lost in the links. Oh god. Okay. Well, Brian David Gilbert. So yeah, I have the utmost respect for like reviews that like take a chunk of your life bar away. You know, permanently. Incredible. Very excited for the new Tim Rogers joint. That new heat.
And it says a lot about the, I don't know what to call it, the following that Tim has amassed, that Action Button, the YouTube channel, is the type of YouTube channel that is completely failed by the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
It has 27K subs, and each of those reviews tops out at about 170, despite being like 4 months old.
Mm-hmm.
So 170K.
Mm-hmm.
But his Patreon is crushing it at like 12K a month. Because people want to see that shit.
Yeah, no, welcome to Mega64 on YouTube having a fraction of what they should have because they were too early to the game and they fucking crushed it too hard in the pre-YouTube days. So by the time things came back around, it was like, yeah, people were already familiar, but they were just doing it through their own website, you know? I want to say same thing for Fensler Films as well. Like, these things that just too big.
Fensler should be a millionaire.
Too big, too early. And it's criminal. It's fucking criminal because, like, yeah, Mega 64 is just like, that should be an empire, you know? The timing of what they were doing and when they were doing it. And everyone fucking knows them. They just didn't have that algorithm. They didn't have the YouTube. They didn't have that spread in the way because you just had to go to their site and click their videos, you know?
The algorithm.
But yes, all of that is great. But yeah, anyway, so you can check our shit out too, I guess. It's nowhere near as good as what we're talking about, but that is our weeks.
Yeah, that's the week.
Let's take a quick our sponsors.
Lost my fatty pig dog.
This is the part of the podcast where I pretty much just point back to how effortlessly, not too long ago, meal showed up right at the door, just like that. You want to have your meals showing up safely to your door, where the delivery is silent, quiet, safe, distant, and DoorDash is where you want to go for that. So
I like DoorDash because I'm hungry, and then I hit a button on my phone, and then about 20 minutes later, I'm less hungry.
there you go. I've noticed that, due to the way the year has progressed, as time has gone on, more and more restaurants are showing up on DoorDash, and there's more selection becoming available. And some new places, and some places that I'm like, oh, what's that about? Where I try them out, and I'm like, yeah, I found some new favorites that were nearby that I had no idea were around. But hey, thanks to the delivery, showed up, and I got a new place that does a perfect keto meal, like really just exactly what I'm looking for, carbless and wonderful. You want to basically use this to support your favorite restaurants and your favorite podcast. Wop wop wop. Keep them open during our quarantine time. So yeah, you can jump on the DoorDash app. They've got over 300,000 partners in the U.S., Puerto Rico, Mexico, Canada, Australia. All your local go-tos, all your favorite chains, your mom and pops. It's got a whole bunch of selection on there. So take a look and see what's around. You can order at ridiculous times. I forgot, what did I describe it as? Gross o'clock, I believe. You can get your food dropped off at gross o'clock, no problem. So
The person dropping that food off won't care that you're smelly behind your door because they're not going to go anywhere near it.
There it is. So right now our listeners can get $5 off and 0 delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter the code CASTLE. That's $5 off and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app from the App Store and enter the code CASTLE. Don't forget, code CASTLE for $5 off your first order with DoorDash. Thanks, DoorDash.
Thanks, DoorDash.
This is the part of the podcast where I yell at you to shave your balls.
Okay, I'm gonna get a soda.
That's okay. You can go do that because I assume that your balls are nicely shaved, but
They're not. I don't need to shave my balls. How many times I gotta tell you that it never grew in?
okay, well, that is a condition that you have to deal with.
I'm doing shit.
Listen, not everybody has the egg-like texture of Pat here. Some can only strive to achieve it. And if you do, you're going to want to do it in a non-painful, no fuss, no muss method. Manscaped is the way that you do it. You can achieve absolute hairlessness, nicely groomed hygiene, where you can safely take this tech to your nuts and not worry about nicks, scratches, weird tugs. You don't want any of that. Anybody who's attempted to use some awful dollar store razor on the balls has absolutely regretted it. They've discovered some things they didn't know. And Manscaped can step in and save you from all that. Grab the Crop Care Kit. It's got A+ ball care. You got all the hygiene you're looking for. You got your crop preserver. Get your ball deodorant on. Your ball toner, your crop reviver. They got it all in there.
Sorry, did you say toner?
Yeah, ball toner. That's correct. It's a spray-on toner. Give your balls a little pep. Crop cleanser, a body wash They got the crop mop, ball wipes, all of it. Listen, you don't know how nice your balls can feel until you take Manscaped and have them fix the situation up for you. Telling you. You don't realize, because your brain autopilots the discomfort you feel, but when that discomfort is gone, then you're just going to be like, every once in a while, every couple minutes, you'll just be like, oh yeah, and that makes a difference. It's a little bit of positivity where there originally was none, because your shit was gross. So this is what we're saying. We're saying you can get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/superbeast. Just go do the thing. Go get the ball shaved. Get the stuff. Feel good in your testicles. Clean up down there. It is what it is.
At the very least, make sure that your balls are not coated with a thin layer of slime.
You don't want that. A thin layer of hair is worse enough. We don't need to upgrade it to slime. Just keep it all off. Keep it smooth and clean. 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/superbeast. All right? How many times I got to tell you? Thanks, Manscaped.
Thank you, Manscaped.
Last on the list over here, we've got Raycon as a sponsor, and that means I'm going to talk about the earbuds that happen to comfortably fit into the ear, sound just as amazing as other top wireless earbuds, and also cost not nearly as much as the ridiculous prices you're going to pay for some wireless headphones out there. I know that Punch Mom goes to sleep with the comforting Raycons in her ears as she listens to, podcasts, whatever it takes to wander off to bed. And the newest model, the Everyday E25 earbuds, are the best ones yet, because you got 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a compact design. It noise isolates. It gets you out of this world of wires that we so desperately are escaping from. There's a wire right next to me right now, and I'm irrationally upset at it.
I'm directly in front of a wire right now.
I wish it didn't exist.
Too close.
I wish it didn't exist. I'm very upset.
Too close.
So, get these wires out of my life. Get them out of your life. Check out some wireless earbuds from Raycon. And, of course, you can use them during your video calls as well. And you want to get them down over at buyraycon.com/superbeast. So, now's the time. Get the latest and greatest from Raycon. 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/superbeast. That's buyraycon.com/superbeast for 15% off your Raycon wireless earbuds. One more time, buyraycon.com/superbeast. Thanks, Raycon.
Thanks.
All right. So, got some news. Not a ton, but a couple things happened. And I think we should start with Old Faithful.
Oh?
Old Faithful.
What's Old Faithful in this context? We have a couple.
Well, NBA 2K1 just came out.
Oh?
And the community of NBA 2K1 players was shocked and awed as they booted their games up to discover that after paying full price for their video game, they were greeted with commercials and ads thrown into the loading screens, and basically just trying to get as much as you can out of that in-game advertising a month after release when you've paid for the full price of the game.
That's pretty funny. So that's what the game Jeff Gerstmann was talking about on Twitter, because he pointed out that it's extra crazy to see this kind of advertisement show up right before we're about to go into a console generation that's going to be defined by super fast loading times.
Interesting. That's pretty funny.
Because like on
they'll find a way.
PS5, say they continue this, it'll be like people will find out very quickly that the game loads the level instantly, but you have to wait until the ad is over.
And there's stuff where like I remember the discussion about how like in some cases the ads and the sponsorship is like it's part of the identity of the thing. Like they'll be like, oh no,
on the stands,
the billboards around on the sides,
yeah, totally.
Or like if you're watching a fucking race car, it's gonna be stickered out. You know what I mean? Like decal to shit. So like there's all that. But this is this is loading screen ads, loading screen commercials, and of course they come in just like they did on UFC. They come in a month after release. So now that things have died down a little bit, everything's come out, the reviews have dropped, certainly, embargo's up, and now you get to quietly get this extra little monetization button turned on. And like the delay on it says everything you need to know about what they think it is. The delay, the fact that they waited, tells you everything. It speaks volumes. I
have to say, like, I'm sorry, person. I didn't catch your name, but I have to echo the thought that I saw in the chat a few minutes ago, which is sports game buyers or habitual sports game buyers are literally the dumbest consumers in this industry. Like, there is not a single genre that fucks you harder than this, because on top of all the it's a re-release of the last year's game with roster updates. Maybe the features are actually broken this year. It's literally painted over, and there's the fucking ad shit. There's every possible thing. On top of all of that, these games also contain, and in many cases invented, loot boxes and gacha mechanics. It has literally everything bad that you can money up a video game in them. And they suck year after year.
But the success is contingent on the sports being so widely appealing that no one really gives that much of a shit to look too hard into it. Like, you will have those who are playing it like to death on their seasons competitively with their friends. You will have, the people who are like, they play other games that are also like, what the fuck is this? This is horseshit compared to what video games that you pay $60 should be. And then there's just the wave of malaise that they can count on that will, re-up every 12 for some trash treatment. But it's got the license, and they've successfully shut down all competitive sports games. With
at least when I gacha in Genshin Impact, I'm gonna get a cute anime girl or boy. I'm not gonna get like a 4-star LeBron James.
I mean, think about this, right? We actually grew up in an era where there were competing sports games for each sport.
Yeah, and sports games were awesome in that era.
We remember a time when there were literally multiple choices for your football or your hockey or your basketball, and they got to compete by being different at their gameplay. And in some cases, you'd be like, oh man, quarterback club sucks compared to Madden, therefore I'm going with Madden this year.
Well, hey, do you have the Genesis or Super Nintendo?
I had a Super Nintendo the whole way.
Okay, so I had a Genesis. And so I missed out on a lot of classics in their time, like Mega Man X. I played it at a friend's house, but it's not the same as having it yourself, right?
Yep.
But even though the Genesis... So it's one of those things where you look back at the Genesis versus the Super Nintendo library, and you go, how could they even compete? Look at this number of incredible games that are on the Super Nintendo that just lasted the test of time, right? And look at the admittedly good list on the Genesis, but it's way smaller, right? And then you go, yeah, but Genesis had every single good sports game.
Yes. Genesis won in the hood. EA, because EA was crushing it in the hood.
There
Like,
were
absolutely.
so many good fucking sports games.
Mhm.
I played most of them all the way up until 98. Wait, 97, 96, 96
Mhm.
when they went to the PlayStation. NHL 93, 94, and 95 are legitimately incredible hockey games. I played
Yeah.
Madden back then because it was a fun game. Mutant League Hockey, Mutant League Football, all
If
the
you-
fucking... like, they were great.
If you wanted to play basketball, you could play NBA Live, but you could also play Jam or Hang Time or one of the crazier arcade style games. You know, there was like overall you had God, what the fuck was it called? You had FIFA, and then you had ISS. You know, you had a bunch of competing sports games. You had competing sports games.
Yeah, and even though I didn't care for it, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that NFL Blitz is anything other than fucking kick ass.
And in many cases, these competitions, they didn't have the license, right? So whoever got the license would have the official names and the players and the teams and the logos, and the others would just have to say, it's Dallas. And it's a blue and silver logo that it just says Dallas, and those are the colors, you know?
NHL has a weird history, and it's because NHL 93 is distinct because it's not NHL 93, it's NHL PA 93, because they could only get the Players Association license. Yes. And that's why the game has fucking blood in it.
Yeah.
And then in 94, they got the real license for the real teams, but then you couldn't cause people to bleed after fights. And that was like the tipping point of the start.
I remember when the Dreamcast dropped NBA 2K and NFL 2K, and we saw those games, and they were fucking leaps and bounds ahead of everything else at the time.
Fucking NFL 2K and Madden of that year was the year that sports games died.
The technological leap was incredible, but they still had they were still competing, right? And the license was going out to each of these games. There was a point at which EA said, we're buying this license, but we're making it exclusive. Meaning,
so that is not actually what happened. It's actually a little weirder than that.
Okay.
So it was in this situation where Madden came out and NFL 2K came out, and that was the SEGA game. And I think it was a pretty common sentiment that the 2K games were way better than Madden.
Yeah,
and they were half price. They were $20.
Sega Sports was crushing it with that. I remember that.
It was
like with
fucking unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fucking NFL was the one who came forward and said, we are tired of having to negotiate these rights with everybody.
Right.
One of you step up and buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And despite the fact that 2K was SEGA was making way better football games, EA just had infinity $1 billion,
so they locked it
and
in.
bought the license, and that's what killed football games for forever.
And
it was the NFL that killed sports games,
and then it just became the standard to be like, okay, well, you are going to now sell this to people who. The people who are buying this, it's not, even though back then it was about like these different gameplay options and what was more fun, it very quickly became what's the current roster and what's the current logo and what's the current season, and I want to do a simulator of, you know, my team and everything like that, and that kind of replaces a lot of it. And then it just kind of annihilated the entire competition thing. So nowadays, most sports have a single game entry, and you guys are used to a world where you don't have a choice in the matter, you know?
It's so weird because wrestling games acted like sports games, but they never had this problem because by the time a wrestling game would come out, the roster was always hilariously out of date.
Yeah.
It was in some cases like a full year out of date. I remember one of the SmackDown games came out and Godfather was on the roster, and I'm like, Godfather hasn't wrestled in like 10 months. He's part of like Right to Censor now with Stevie Richards. Right? If you remember that fucking gimmick.
When was this game being made, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And so the wrestling fans would all be like, well, how's it play?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the obsession over the No Mercy came from. Because it was just better than almost all the other wrestling games. And
I mean,
who cares about the roster?
It's quite obvious that, like, roster updates are the easiest, simplest, dumbest thing that could be patched in of all the things that you can patch into a new game. But, like, that is the bank that EA is making year after year. Like, giving people a roster update like that is the antithesis. It's really just, like, we need a meaningless update. We need a reason for you to buy this again. It's like we're making a new iPhone with no features on it. Just fucking shut up and buy it, idiot, you know? So anyway, not content with that complete lockdown and utter monopoly over the situation, of course, we got to have these things where, thanks for your money, here's some more ads.
So it's complicated because it really does seem to be that, well, one, Americans love football. I feel this is a uncontroversial statement.
I like
people
football.
in the US of A and even people up in Canada and some, you know, sprinklings down there, they like American football.
I have positive feelings about football.
And there is a large contingent of people in the US in particular that want to buy a football game, and they're going to buy the football game. And EA is aware of that, and they're basically just seeing, like, just how far can they push it. And the reason why that's complicated to me is because football itself is also made for ads. Like the real structure of the real game with the constant stops and starts is also made to sell ads and bullshit.
At this point, like, it completely has worked into their, you know, their strategy. Yeah. The thing is, though, is, again, and this is like kind of the take home between, like, the takeaway, excuse me, from when you go, like, why are suckers just eating this year after year, is just, you know, think about how many people are playing this game in a way where it only exists as an activity when your friends pop over to play some games and kill some time before you go do something else.
Or alternatively, it is a community that bonds certain people, you know, together in and of itself.
Yes, it can be. Again, if you have a season going or whatever the case is, you know.
Or you could say that football players can't make good decisions because they have the brain damage.
Well, CTE sucks, but the years of me, my brother, and my neighbor all running a season. I remember my cousin as well was in one time, and, like, we would just... It dominated our lives sometimes in a way that was like, we're going to simulate your game. If you don't play tonight, we're going to simulate your game. And it's just like, I'm out, I'm busy, I have shit to do. And it's like, we don't care. We will simulate the shit out of your fucking game.
I have to say that there's a part of the football that makes me a little irked. And that is the same kinds of dumbass jock moron idiots that would make fun of me for playing video games and other people for playing the Dungeons and Dragons couldn't love football enough, and then in the off season discovered, what if we played Dungeons and Dragons football and called it fantasy football?
Oh yeah, no, they're the dumbest. Like, you're like, there's
be the actual nerdiest jock stupid shit. Like, Fantasy football is so fucking lame. I can't believe it.
So hey. I will say this, right? There, one of my brothers-in-law, so to speak, is someone who is like looking to work as a sports manager.
Yeah.
And like is actually like, it's the type of thing where learning how to manage teams in that context for like hockey games and stuff is directly relevant to the profession, right? That being said, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. But like the thing is that there's no real blankets anymore, right? In a world of just jocks and nerds, then it looks ridiculous. But what the real world ends up shaking out to be is one where there are nerds that happen to be into sports, and there are jocks that happen to be into like tabletops, and things are complex and mix and match, and you know what I mean? Like, we've grown up in an age where like you can't make an assumption based on what a person's like career choices or whatever, what type of personality you're gonna get, because we're finding out about like, yeah, if you're a nerd that's into sports, you're gonna get super into these fantasy versions of the game. And I hear all the time about how the people who are the most dangerous killers that are super good at Brazilian jiu-jitsu are the nerds who study the moves, that memorize it, and have like tons and tons of like textbook tech in their head of how to counter every throw and what every movement is, and has nothing to do with being a big strong guy. If you can memorize all the ways to roll, you can absolutely crush people who are bigger and stronger that theoretically should win, you know? So it's getting more complex out there.
I remember I was playing Virtua Fighter 2 on my Saturn, and I was doing training mode. And my dad walked in and saw that and was like, I don't know why you spend so much time trying to learn that stuff. That's just dumb video games, right?
Yes.
And I look at my father, and all I can think of is, Dad, you literally memorized 40 years of baseball statistics.
Yes, correct.
And can mention any player's hitting average at the drop of a hat. Mm-hmm. And you watch golf on TV. Mm-hmm. Like, you watch golf on TV, Dad.
Yeah,
for fuck's sake.
Yeah, but that's what the men did, and that's what the peers did. So it's reinforced as it's that activity's fine, but this one isn't. It's you know
I'm
what
aware
it is.
BJ Singh is killing it right now. He's like 8 under par, and honestly, that was a pretty good putt. But Jesus Christ, Dad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, everyone. That's 100%. Like that's it. Like you, every time you catch, someone going in on first of all, there's just a low quality bait tweets that are just like, oh, men who play video games, whatever. Like, oh, like, what is your virgin? Like, I don't even know. Like, just like dumb like virgin jokes or whatever. And you're just like, are you seriously like trying to pull this off in an age where like people are living in mansions based on their video game skill? Like, what do you? It's so ridiculous to try and hold to like that old thing when like de facto, like you're looking at like, oh yeah, remember when Jay-Z couldn't buy the mansion that the Minecraft guy had? You know what I mean?
I do remember that.
Like what are you fucking on? Like it's so, you just ignore it. It's silly.
Hey gamers, you want to play a Call of Duty? Why don't you enlist like your grandpa did?
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
sure you
Exactly.
saw that tweet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyone who is, you're from an age where things don't change, right? You weren't prepared for the world to change, which is also why so many older people are doing really rough this year with the general state of things, because they lived a life where they didn't have to change. Things were pretty much set in their way, and what was their experience growing up was going to be yours, and that's all there is to it. never mind like even like the corona situation. I mean just the fact that like you're looking at fucking average incomes from like 30-40 years ago to now, and all that shit is just, it's nonsense, right? So like they've been handed a very particular way of being that worked their entire life for them, so there was no reason for them to necessarily change or update or notice that things don't work the same way anymore. So the same as perception is going to be held for things like video games are just, it's just Pac-Man but shinier and more expensive.
I've told this story before, but I've just realized more context in listening to you here of like, I remember being like 8 or 9 and a friend of mine would come over and we'd play games, right? And my mom would say to me, I don't get it. Why do you kids stay inside, play these video games? Why don't you go out and play baseball or something? And I remember looking at her like she's insane, because the first thing I would ask is like, with who? She'd go, with the kids at the park. And I go, what kids? What are you talking about? And she'd go, right? I'm like, oh yeah. Back in boomer time, there must have been tons of kids just hanging around at the baseball field. Because the fuck else are they going to do when their parents tell them to get out so they can shoot drugs?
Yeah. Hey, let me introduce you to a filter that should be running at all times when you are in these circumstances. Parent leans forward, open quotations, and just you put the filter on, and here's what you hear. Hey, why don't you go be me for a while? Why don't you go do what I did?
In a version of the world that no longer exists.
Like, I know you're doing you right now, but why don't you go do me? Just be me for a while. I don't know why you're always in here being you, wasting all your time on you, when, frankly, back in my day, I was me. So what you should be doing is you should be being me. Go out and be me. And you're like, okay, cool, got it. Yep, thanks.
But Dad, I don't want to pick up smoking.
Fucking... yeah.
Smoking's for losers, Dad. No, my dad never told me to pick up smoking. In fact, he was like, God damn it, you start smoking, I'll kick your ass.
Yeah.
As he would puff away, because he's horribly addicted to nicotine. But
I was just having a conversation with Punch Mom yesterday about like the fucking weirdness of everyone that has an obsession with using their kids as New Game Plus for their own lives.
Oh yeah.
And like whether it's it's everything, right? It like at first we were just talking about one aspect of it because language is a huge deal here. So language in Quebec is like what you choose to speak, what school you end up going to, and just and the level of just like no, I'm going to fuck your life up to force you to try and learn in a French immersion in a situation where you're just gonna get horrible grades and lose confidence in your ability to do anything. But whatever, too bad, go deal with it, you know. And you're just putting this whole like language battle because you've got your own thing that you're, you know, your own struggles that you're holding on to that is like, yeah, I need my kids to carry this forward, go forth and be the bearer of my torch. And it's the same for every ideology, everything that you just grow up with that you see as the most important thing in your life. Like the fucking hubris to put that on your kids and to turn them into the continued torchbearers of your own shit is so fucking just, it's so shitty to do.
I know at least one person who is literally designed to be good at sports by their parent.
Right? It's such a fucking like, you know, and it's just like you see it at its worst when you're looking at a fucking weirdo child pageant, right?
Oh man.
Like you're seeing it at its worst when you're watching a fucking what's the show? The fucking show with the Jean Benets.
The thing for the
Toddlers and Tiaras.
Oh, okay, that's enough.
and you're like,
Oh, with
what?
the mom and the kid
And you're just
the
with the honey boo boo,
That's
with the honey boo boo, and you're just like, this is horrifying. And it's clear the reason why it's a TV show is because they know that most people are gonna see this and feel that fucking like, what are you doing? What is this?
Hey, can I ask a question here? What's up with child pageants? You all need to stop that.
Okay, well, this is what I'm in the middle of saying, right?
Yeah, you just need to not.
It's quite clearly what it's about. It's about I need my child to New Game Plus my failures. I never got to be the whether it's prom queen or just the hottie or the homecoming queen or what, I didn't get my life to travel down the road that led to me being a beauty queen. So I need to take that and continue it by turning my child into what I wanted my personal successes to be, because I'm that vapid, right?
Yeah, so I kind of dodged a bullet on that because there's two ways to go about it. There's you will succeed where I failed, which is what you've been talking about quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then there's what I find to be more positive is please don't fail where I also failed.
Yes.
Which was the majority of the commandments that came down from my parents weren't you have to be a doctor or you have to go to church all the time. They were like, hey, I'm going to tell you a story of some stupid shit that fucked up a piece of my life. Don't do that. That'll get you.
And
right?
I
think that's a fairly helpful point of view.
And generationally, obviously, if you just look at history, you can see that we have very little control over like the wave of where a generation goes, because they tend to be not interested in what the immediately prior generation was pitching at them. So if you have a hyper strict, overly controlling, button up your fucking collar and tighten up your tie 50s parenting generation, you're gonna get some hippies out of that.
Yeah.
And then after some
we tried nothing and we're all out of ideas, man.
And then a bunch of kids that were raised by hippies will then be like, fuck this structuralist bullshit. I'm gonna figure my own shit out with organization and like, and return to a kind of whatever structure of sorts. But like it's there's an ebb and a flow to it in either direction. But the direct, like, I'm instilling this child with the mission to make me live out vicariously what I never got to, is fucking gross and disgusting. And it doesn't, and the pageantry, the pageants are the worst example of it that everyone can relate to, but it really follows down, like it goes into everything. There's so many weird things that your parents will sit you down and fucking try to put into you that are like, okay, this is not just like here's a life lesson that'll help you. This is you want me to be this or to like carry forward that. And again, language is one of those things. Like, people can be zealots about culture in things. You know what I mean? There will be family members that like will definitely like it can go anywhere from whatever, from the language you're speaking to like literally like, hey, like, I don't know about those white girls. I think you're not doing what you should be doing, It can travel in all kinds of weird directions and go places, because it's like, okay, so thanks for trying to lay down. Are you putting the framework down for a discussion about like ethno-purity right now?
Well, Wooly, like, you showed them.
It's kind of wild, because I don't know if you know, but you kind of are laying the tracks down, and it goes all over the place.
I've seen from personal example both sides of this equation. So on my end, it ranged everywhere from don't start smoking, I'll kill you, to listen, don't crash your car at work to get out of a shift. You know, shit
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
It'll backfire on you. And then on the other hand, I am very familiar with Paige's stories, whose mom was a great swimmer, and god damn it, you'll be a great swimmer too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I went and made sure to get the best genes for your swimming.
There you go.
And create the super swimmer.
There you go.
And you will swim, god damn it.
I mean, just think about how many you know how you can refer to a nice collection of the planet as the old country? You know, like, not every country can be considered the old country, right?
Yeah.
But there's a collection of countries that can. And any country that can be considered the old country tends to have somebody from there that will have at some point something to say along the lines of, what you need to do is find yourself a nice girl from the old country, settle down and have some good kids.
Man. So I never dealt with that. I had tons of friends. Well, actually, no, I did deal with that. I did deal with that. But I had tons of friends who were like, well, you got to find a nice Jewish girl. You got to find a nice Arabic girl.
Find a nice
Russian girl. You got to
insert culture girl. And continue the bloodline, Chris.
I remember my grandfather sitting me down and telling me that if I ever got involved with anyone, be it business or love, that it had to be a white Protestant Anglican Anglophone Montrealer. And I remember just staring at him, not blown away by the racism. But like, I don't even know one of those, man.
Yeah. No.
Like, I'm the only one I can think of that fits that definition. And I remember when I told my grandparents that I was dating an American, they had this look on their face, and I saw the transformation, and all I could see in their eyes was, as long as it's not a French girl. Like, Americans are fine. They're not the French.
Shout outs to Anglican, divorcing your wife and creating your own branches of religion.
I'm the Pope now.
I mean, listen, if you have a person whose family, like, if you're like, oh, you've got a fucking super white, like traditional family, and then you find someone, and then the parents meet them, and they look identical to you, but there's beef because they're Protestant and you're Catholic. Holy fuck, man.
Oh, it irked my grandparents to no end that my last name is Boivin.
There's no hope there.
I'll never forget the first thing.
It's not even a different color.
The first thing my grandmother said to my mom after meeting my dad was, it had to be a little fucking Frenchman with a mustache, didn't it? And you're right. It's not even... And my dad, you met my dad. He barely even has an accent.
like if you couldn't tell on sight that you had a reason to hate, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know, anyway, it's just nonsense and bullshit, right? And so, like, it gets even fucking more insane when you see studies popping up where they're like, by the way, like, it's nice and all that you're trying to turn your kids into whatever the fuck you need to fulfill your creepy shit, but children are born with personalities. Like, babies have their personalities from the jump. People will be louder, quieter, introverted, extroverted, you know, just all the full spectrum of like things you can attribute to a person. You're born with those things, and like, a lot is nurture, certainly, but like, trying to force your will on somebody that might have nothing of interest whatsoever in their bones to do whatever you want them to do is just, it's just the most selfish, shitty thing ever, you know?
Hey, I have a, come to think of it, to piggyback off the story I just told, and what you're saying is like telling your kids what to do. Have you ever encountered, you know, you might have. I used to have a friend. I'm no longer friends. And the story will become a little clearer in the near future.
Mm-hmm.
Who was always told by her parents over and over and over, you got to find a nice Jewish boy. And that was the only thing they would accept, right? And over time, this morphed into a discussion in how happy she was with her new boyfriend, who was, I want to say he was Indian or maybe Pakistani. They're madly in love. Very quickly. And I'm like, oh, you think things are going to go well? And the line that comes back is, I'm so excited. Our babies are going to be like superhumans. I can't wait to breed the white out of my family. And as the discussion continued, it became clear that this was her idea of like the perfect future, and the biggest fuck you to dad ever is to just like, oh man, I'm gonna have the most mixed kids I can get my hands on. And I'm like, how? I'm gonna just back away from this whole. I'm out of here. I'm out. This is troubling.
Sometimes some people that have those traits and or ideologies don't reveal them immediately. And sometimes you find out a couple dates in that, I believe, to use a term from a decade ago, that they had the drums playing the whole time. And
that
you're sitting
in the
there,
background of their mind.
You're sitting there having a nice meal and you're enjoying a good time. And little did you know that the person sitting across from you is staring at you and they're hearing the drums. And listen. On a certain level, it is I believe the Ballad of the Sad Cafe has the quote that said, you know, in every relationship there's the lover and the loved, and it is a good thing to want to be desired. But there is a point where that gets really weird and unhealthy.
You know,
and
I look back in time, and I've had time to think about this, and I remembered a detail that you wouldn't think was important, right? About my former friend. The gentleman in question was not, I never met the guy. He was not Indian or Pakistani. He was in fact Iranian. And the reason why this matters is because I should have seen this in advance. And it was, oh, where's he from? Oh, he's Persian. Like, what? That's not that. You mean he's Iranian? No, he's Persian. And there was like this romance to it. And it's like, that's not a place anymore. Why is this why did this conversation become weird over, oh, where's he from? So I should have seen it coming, right?
Maybe.
But then just like, bam, like, oh, your liberal ass is going full eugenics to spite your dad. Okay. What?
A fetching bachelorette from the Orient, you say?
All right.
Yeah. Listen,
you enjoy that.
Again, it's just there are times. There's been more than one occasion, more than two actually, where you know, again, you meet somebody and you discover, whether it's delayed or immediately, that it's like, hey, listen, you happen to be the right shade to get what I need to get across.
You got the chart on the door.
Yep, that right there.
It's the reverse of the Family Guy airport chart.
Good to go. You're good to go. And it's like, you got some stuff you got to work out. You got to work out some stuff. I can't help you work that stuff out. You know? It's a thing. It's not constant, but it's a thing. And it has existed. And sometimes it's been like, yeah, within, you know, hours, and sometimes it's within a couple of dates, and you're like, oh boy, did I not see that power level hidden.
Because like you and I have the variation of that fear, right? Yours is, where is this coming from, right? And then you describe like, only a couple dates in. Like, what if like I can only imagine the fear is, what if it was way more than a couple dates in?
This is the issue, right? Of course, yeah.
And I have had the opposite fear, which I've tried to, you know, as I got older, just nip in the bud just as fast as possible, and just like, what if? Do you remember the Seinfeld episode where Jerry is convinced this dentist converted to Judaism for the jokes?
Yeah.
Do you remember what the final punchline of that episode is?
No.
He's talking to his new girlfriend that he's been dating for a while, and he's like, "Oh, dentists, can you believe him?" She goes, "Oh yeah, and don't get me started on the blacks and the Jews." And then it has a freeze frame of Seinfeld's laughing face, right? Like that's a fear. Yeah. I remember working retail. There'd be people that would come up to me to bitch, and just on the assumption that we were on the same team, like, I don't want to be on your team, man.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. No.
It's the clip of Dwight staring at something like, yeah, and then what's her name? Little blonde, the girl that was a thing with him. No, the weirdo. I forgot her name, but she's behind him, and then Dwight turns around and goes, because it's like, we're not on the same team. Get the fuck away from me. It's you know, it's absolutely that. Angela. Yeah. It is a thing, man. And like, okay, listen, like, as you got to be real too, like. There's nothing wrong with some of that in there. You do want some of that, right? You want a degree of the person you're with to be like, hey, I'm into you and what you are. That's healthy.
Okay, that's what you mean by some of that.
Not Seinfeld.
Because I'm like narrowing my eyes very deeply, and like, because we talked about many topics.
No. We
talked about eugenics.
You definitely want, you know, the person to be into you. That's cool.
Because in the background, I'm like, are you saying you only want one drum to be playing in the back of their mind?
Yes, one drum is fine. One drum is acceptable,
and there's other instruments.
There. I believe there's one drum playing in this house at all times.
Okay.
I believe one. You know? It might be a djembe, but it is being played. But it's only one, and that's fine. That's okay. Right? But there's a distance between like that and what you're describing that can only be called spite-genics.
Yeah, what you don't want is for the climactic scene of the film Drumline to be playing in the back of someone's head at all times. Featuring T.I.
Drumsticks in the air. Yo.
I don't know. I watched that whole movie. That movie sucks. That movie had no plot. It's like, oh man, T.I.'s character can't read music.
Dude.
Who gives a shit?
You just... Yeah. Because, like, there's a point where as you know, you described earlier, it's just like, okay, there doesn't even need to be a person attached here. Like, I need my vengeance.
Oh, it's Nick Cannon. Whatever. I always get Nick Cannon confused.
I need my vengeance, and this quest involves parts of you, but quite frankly, you can go. Either way, I will have my revenge. My parents will suffer. You know? Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well,
what happens when you eugenics your family to spite people, and then those people eventually die? Like, do you now no? I don't need you, children. Your purpose is over.
Well, hopefully you're okay with them being around. Hopefully you don't actually have a problem with it. You know, because if it turns out your hatred of your parents was like only dwarfing your hatred of like the person you're with and thus your kids, then yeah, we have a problem. You're kind of a broken person. God bless. Mission accomplished. Mission all over. Scatter to the winds.
Listen, everybody's got standards, but
Revengenetics? Holy fuck.
but Revengenetics should not enter into your standards, maybe.
Hey, listen.
Revengenetics, that's it. That's it. You did it. You've created a new word.
Listen. All I'm trying to say is take the ads out of NBA 2K21.
Oh my god, that's what we started talking about. Jesus Christ.
Take the ads out of NBA 2K21.
Take them out.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Out. Get it out of there.
All right? All right.
How do we... I don't even care. I don't even care. What else we got in the news?
Not to be outshone by SNK, Arc System Works says, fuck that. Guilty Gear, Accent Core plus R, Rollback. Confirmed.
You know, it was a really good
Accent
piece
Core
of news
plus Rollback.
To hear that Accent Core Plus, a version of Guilty Gear that we all know, everybody knows that game is great. Okay, not everybody. That game's great. Has good rollback netcode, while we simultaneously learned that everything about Strives online is fucking stupid.
So they're doing rollback as well in Strive. Thank God. So you'll be able to play it. They've got this the plan is to have a non-traditional ranked system where instead you have lobby rooms that represent skill levels, and you got a taste of it in the demo. And I think it's basically like there was a cap.
You mean the thing that didn't work?
Correct. And there's a cap to there's the avatar system where you're playing as the little 2D avatar, which, you know, good luck finding a way to consistently get a match. But no, the lobby system of the Tower of Babel that they kind of had going, where you're able to get into a certain level of floors, and then by getting above, and by I think like winning a certain number of matches on a certain level, you get access to floors above it. But like, you kind of choose where to put yourself in a way once you get past these thresholds, and it's like, well, you're gonna have a bunch of people that are comfortably aware and being comfortable being self-aware, that'll put themselves on the levels that they think they're good enough to be at, but you're gonna have an overwhelming number of people just sitting on the top level trying to vie for the whatever that is. So it's gonna be lopsided no matter what. I can't imagine a way to avoid that.
There was a good ass tweet that I don't know who did it. I feel sorry. Somebody can find it. Tweet it at me and I'll retweet it. That basically said, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with fighting games. Every other goddamn genre, You load the game up. There's a massive, gigantic play the game button.
Yes. I think
and
I
then
retweeted
fucking
that. Yeah.
fighting games is answer my fucking riddles 3, and it was a screenshot of like the lobby bullshit from DBZ.
Yep. Navigate,
like,
find the right dude. I
Fucking
like Fall Guys.
Why
play.
the fuck? Like, god damn it!
It's pretty.
Yeah,
like
I found the tweet. I had retweeted it before. I will retweet it now if you want to go to my Twitter and find it.
It's just a lot of like, again, design ideas that are like not quite
like
fully baked.
I
and
don't want to hang out in a fucking lobby and bang my fucking plastic sword against some person and hope I get a match. I want to hit the ranked match button and wait 10 seconds and get no match.
Yeah. God bless KI. You press start, you go right to online, you play a match, you go. Like it is goofy that they have that. But all things considered with that, that's the separate from that though, just like, yeah, the rank system, like I think it's coming from the same place where Strive really wants to like not have like they're doing a lot that they think is going to make people that are not familiar with fighting games more comfortable. And like I don't think that stuff matters as much as we think it did, because we've seen
people who do play fighting games uncomfortable.
We've seen so many examples over the years of like, misdiagnosing the problem with interest. Fighting games is it's a complicated thing where you just like you keep thinking that it's this problem or that problem, inputs, HUD, leniency, speed. But like people are willing to learn to play things if they are having fun with the process. I mean, no matter how basic, no matter how complex, like people are doing way more complicated things when they're playing a MOBA. People are playing a game like Rocket League and not really thinking twice about driving down the field and hitting the ball, but then discovering like an infinite fucking cavern of depth to fall into. And are embracing that, a lot of these things I think are misdiagnosis. Yeah. But as far as being able to play a fucking decent match of a goddamn game goes, Accent Core is the latest. And like between that and KOF 2002, I think this fucking rollback everywhere system needs to continue. And a lot of retro, I can't believe I'm calling it that, but a lot of classics.
Oh my god!
Are like
otherwise Accent Core plus retro.
I know, but it's like the version. It's the best version of Guilty Gear prior to Exerd, but Exerd was fucking a very long time ago. When you're going a decade past, like, what do you? Anyway. These are games that are fucking awesome and worth it. So yeah, like take your best old catalog game, throw some rollback on that bitch, and set it loose. So that's gonna be dropping.
Man,
October
I fucking
29th.
love like the Guilty Gear XX series. Like those games are just great. And of note, for being the first fighting games of note to have 800 by 600 sprites. Very pretty.
I'll see where this goes, but right now SNK and Arxis doing it, right?
The place it was gonna go is I just wanted to say, but you know what game has way better sprites, Wooly? KOF 13. Yeah, King of Fighters. Those sprites are gorgeous, man.
I mean, god damn.
Man.
You're such a shit.
All right.
What gameplay. Look how beautiful those sprites are.
Oh, no. That's so pretty.
You can change the colors.
Oh, man. It was so worth it.
Well, anyway. So I don't know what this means, but right now, Korea has rated something called Mass Effect Legendary Edition. And the
Oh,
rumor
that
has
was
it
that's the trilogy
remaster trilogy.
thing.
Rumor has it that's what that means.
They were talking about they talked about this a while ago at some point where it was supposed to be coming a little while ago, but they ran into the issue that when they fucking like upscaled everything, that ME1 looks like shit compared to the other two games. So they wanted to go back and spend more time on juicing up ME1 so that it didn't look like such a trash pile next to the other two.
Okay. So then it's pretty much then more than rumor at this point then. That's like
Yeah.
It's
been leaked out like a dozen times now.
Okay. Previously planned for a late 2020 release, delayed to early 2021. Yeah. Okay. Well, the rating was for PS4, Xbone, and PC. Safe to assume that's going to be expanded.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool.
Did we talk about the backwards compatibility list last week?
We did not, but I was going to bring it up so we can jump right over there because we got a list of publishers talking about what will and will not be backwards compatible. And fucking surprise, surprise, obviously, PT will not work on your PS5. They actually got a word from Konami who asked if people could play PT on the PS5, to which they said, fucking no.
Who cares about that shit? Did you see the real deal? Afro Samurai 2, one of the only games not playable on the PS5.
Oh my god. Confront the sadness of not being able to play Afro Samurai 2.
It's, oh my god, what a shame.
That
PS5 backwards compat list is actually pretty good. There's only like 12 games on that whole thing that aren't.
Man. Sure is, I guess, like, Fury really was the palate cleanser, huh? Seems like it. Like, that came along and kind of like righted some of those wrongs, but I still have such weird feelings about Afro Samurai. It's just, there's not many things where I'm like, okay, and then you look closer and you go, you pull back, and then you're like, no, keep it on the surface level. Make it a concept. I want it to be an album cover, an art book maybe. I want some cool poses, but I don't want to actually see what's happening here. Yeah. So they had that on the release list. They also had a bunch of shit that they talked about where they explained that one, the PSN store will be dropping all PS3, PSP, and Vita games off the mobile purchase option.
That's the weirdest thing because it's like, why?
They're making some crazy new version of the store that does not want you to be able to buy old console games on your phone.
Do you think they'll be able to make a version of the store that doesn't lag horribly?
I hope so. And if the video they showed is anything to go off of, yes. Because they said in that video that, so we saw the teardown, and then the next PS5 video they had this week was the UI, right? So they showed off what the new cross-media bar replacement will be. And essentially it's a cross-media bar, but smaller in the top left. And now there's cards. And these cards are anything from in-game, trophies that are incomplete, to tips, to news announcements, to sessions that you can join in on, and
to ads for different games from the same publisher. I'm sure.
And they even mentioned in some cases, and this actually, I'm like, that's, you know what, that makes sense. Like the thing where they're like publisher or like developer implemented tips, where you just don't have to go to Google. Where people would be like, if you're gonna pause and go to Google to look something up, they're like, we want you to be able to do that on the console anyway. And I'm like, okay, I get that, because that is a thing that happens often enough. Because it's like they mentioned specifically that like jumping on YouTube, going through spoilers to find exactly what you're looking for is not a great experience. So
Yeah, now they'll be able to spoil you right there. How to beat the final boss, your dad.
Never press down on day one. Never press down on the PS4.
PS4, I will never forget it. Dark Souls 3, the day it came out, I hit down and saw the final boss just right there in fucking front of my face.
And it
couldn't believe it.
That the alternative, or that the fix for that is for FromSoft to take those areas of the game and make them unrecordable. Because that's what Sony would say, is just make it so that you can't record those parts of the game, then they won't be spoiled by anything. See, developers should be using our block recording feature to not spoil other gamers. And it's like, fuck off, design it in a way where that doesn't happen to you. Where
the live stream isn't the first thing that you see when you hit down. Just have it be at the bottom of the list.
Don't have a shit design and then make it so that like the developer can choose to opt parts of the game out from being recorded. Just don't put it in a place where you could accidentally fucking see it like that. You know? Anyway. So yeah, we got cards now. But they're saying in that video that the store will be part of that entire front end. So if the store is running like right there and you're not going off to some shitty website, I assume it will be better. But who fucking knows? Who knows?
That would be nice.
But yeah, that's all getting pulled down on, what did they say, like within a couple days, 29th or something like that,
I guess. You'll still be able to buy shit through their respective stores,
through the game itself. Yeah, through the console itself. If you have a PS3, Vita, or PSP, you can go to the shop and buy it, but you can no longer do it remotely through a website. Exactly. So you got that going down. Then yeah, just a couple other little things. There's a cool Kickstarter that popped up, and again, Kickstarter alert. So check it out. Support if you feel like it scratches your interest, but read it obviously, and judge accordingly. But Eagle Knight Paradox is something that I thought looked pretty, and it's described as a side-scrolling action mecha platformer with a unique slice-of-life twist. When I saw the gameplay, it looked and reminded me much of like Bangai-O, where you are navigating a lot of enemies tracking, you're dashing, boosting, slashing, shooting, and then at one point popping off with a big body explosion. And it looks rad. It looks nice. It's obviously it's classic sprite style, but like really, beautiful backgrounds. Check out the Kickstarter for it. It's called Eagle Knight Paradox. Knight as in K-N-I. And you got.
Let's take a look at this.
And then there's a slice of life angle to it, which involves scruffy-nosed kid and some Western.
Oh, that looks hot.
Designs that are very.
That looks hot.
Very sci-fi. Yeah, take a peek. Painterly backgrounds, looks good.
That kid is not who I would expect to get in that robot, though.
Yeah, for sure. The characters
those look like two completely different games.
The character wandering around with his dog on crutches and like kind of just looking cute is not at all what I expected from the gameplay, which I first saw in a GIF form, which was like fucking high octane mecha action shit,
Even the color palette is completely different between the two sections. That's really interesting.
Yeah. So see what you think. Right now, I'm looking at the Canadian prices, obviously, but it's at 12.8 K of a 22.5 requested. So that's what's up. Investigate and see how you feel. Never played it, but Phantom Breaker Omnia, a new anime fighting game announced. Straight to get into fighting games, quite frankly, because this looks like some rad shit to check out. And I had no idea. I don't think I ever played the original thing this was based on. But
It's based off the Dojin.
but it looks like some fucking that's some anime ass.
That looks like Melting Blood.
Apparently, it was since 2013, and I'm like, I don't know how this missed the radar, but by all means, let's take a look at that, see what's going on with it, see if it sticks. And then Sega had a couple of announcements, so let's go in order here. Sega announced Streets of Kamurocho out as of yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It is
It's apparently like 10 minutes long.
It is a beat 'em up featuring Majima and Kiryu, just doing beat 'em up things, 2D sprites. Apparently, one level and enemies just spawn forever, so not really a big thing. It's already gone. Wow. Huh. I when they said limited time, holy fuck, they weren't kidding. I thought you would have had more than a day.
I'm sure you'll be able to get it somehow.
It came out on the 17th. Today is the 19th. That's ridiculous. Okay. Well, anyway, so there's that. Then they also had Armor of Heroes, which was another thing. And I think Sega is celebrating an anniversary where they changed all the artwork on their Steam games to be like classic Sega style and things like that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, just I guess if these games came and gone, then fucking whatever. But I'm not going to skip ahead because most importantly is Golden Axed is a part of this. And Golden Axed is a Golden Axe vertical slice pitch that was made for a game that was supposed to happen, didn't. And it too is a part of this.
One of the devs who
canceled
made
prototypes
it was like, it's kind of fucked up that this prototype they crunched out of me and my team is just being put up without our knowledge. As like isn't this cool, when they were just like crunching us into dirt saying they wanted a God of War clone.
So Tim Dawson on Twitter came up and basically spoke about Golden Axe and said, woke up to the surprising news that Sega is releasing the Golden Axe prototype I coded in 2012 under crunch conditions. At least I'm not alone. This appears to be a surprise to everyone I know who actually worked on it. The project was my personal nexus of nightmare hours, inept management, and industry realizations, and heroics achieved with a small team under unreasonable conditions, so it's an odd feeling to see it surface 8 years later without context.
Cool! Really bringing out that goodwill, Sega.
And with a joke title sequence. It exists because Link to Santana Mishra and I had delivered the Castle of Illusion prototype that was maintaining the studio. A producer we trusted asked us if we could make a polished gameplay prototype for an internal Golden Axe pitch in about 2 weeks to land a second project. Step 1, 2 fucking weeks. We agreed because we were assured management wanted us to develop it our way, i.e. another Miracle Please, but did mandate a darker, bloodier Golden Axe with splatter and decapitations and 2-button combat. We tried to combine all of that with the spirit of the original game. This would have been a difficult line to walk at any time, but we had 2 weeks and no time to iterate. So we made do and just really attacked the design without knowing knowing that we wouldn't be able to course correct as much, but luckily we had a talented team of artists, animators, and sound designers. Much less luckily, we also had the lead designer who thought he was designing it, and sometimes Santana Mishra would have to physically block him from reaching my workstation, or he'd start explaining insights he'd received while playing a mobile port of the game on his train from the way home from work. He took to inventing arbitrary challenges like management wants to see an attack animation playing in-game by the end of the day or they'll think the project is in trouble. while I was busy coding enemy AI and all the soft lock combo systems simultaneously. A week or so in, the lead campaigned for branching the prototype and making a Streets of Rage pitch concurrently because to him they were the same game. It took me sending a 2 a.m. email to the studio head and a let's go for coffee and chat the next morning to get it stopped. But the biggest gut punch came while a week and a half in, combat was working, it was all on track. I was called into a meeting in the big room and I put the latest build on the network and we went to see what was up. All of management was sitting around a big table. I showed the game. Grave faces. There was a pause. Where's the wow factor? Someone asked. The lead designer once again complained it wasn't a God of War like 3D brawler that he wanted. Someone said maybe it would have been better if it had been pre-rendered video where you could see the barbarian fighting a monster. I experienced a moment of clarity. Either they couldn't see what was in front of them or wanted me to feel bad because it's the only way they knew how to manage. And I was the guy who made playable prototypes. I had over-delivered, and if they didn't want that, then they had screwed up. I had been working 14 days, and I went home on time that day. I lay in my bed staring at the ceiling. They didn't want it. They wanted something else entirely. Came to my conclusion, it didn't matter. I'd continue doing what I intended to do and deliver what Santana and I had planned from the beginning. And so I did. Effects and polish were added, sounds implemented, combat timing sped up, input windows and things to make combos execute friendly. Finished the build, and it was revealed, but the same management team that negged me earlier now lined up to tell me how good it was. I felt dead inside, not just because of a long 7-day work weeks and the start of RSI in my right arm that would go on to jeopardize the development of another game called Android Cactus, but because I had no trust left in the people who ran things. From the Steam page description, Golden Axe may be a janky, may be buggy, may be an artifact of its time, but it offers a unique glimpse into the prospect of a project that could have been. Go fuck yourself, parasites.
Yeah, Sega's a bunch of assholes.
So that's Tim Dawson, who made it, basically going, what the fuck? Yeah.
Really, really bringing in that goodwill by putting that out. I assume nobody involved in putting that onto, like, public release had any knowledge of any of that shit and just said, oh, cool. You guys, I found this Golden Axe prototype in my drawers.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a reason why they threw these things up for 48 hours.
Yeah.
Like, that's the most ridiculous window of time I've heard for a release of anything. That's a we don't want you to see this release. Enjoy it if you're paying attention, but if you're not paying attention, then meh, don't look too hard, Yeah. Also, Nioh added punch fist weapons. It's pretty sick. Nioh
cool.
Continues to be rad.
Why is that game gotta take forever to come to the PC? Makes me sad.
Anyway, Sega, come on.
They're not gonna stop. They're in with the Yakuza. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. Well, listen, it's funny how, like, the game kind of drops as this thing that's like, haha, check out our prototype. Never came out, but whoa, look at this weird janky shit, huh? And then dude comes out and goes, fuck you, I died for 2 weeks making this thing and got shit on for it. Like, it just takes all the wind out of that dumb joke sale, So that's what we need to see. Anyway, let's take some letters.
Oh, before we go, I have one last piece of news. Coming hot from one Mandalore's Twitter, there are rumors that one Hideki Naganuma of Jet Set Radio fame will be composing for Smash Brothers in the future. So that's going to be very interesting if those tracks do come to Smash.
Now hold on a minute, because as an avid follower of Hideki Naganuma,
Mm-hmm.
aka Skankfunk on Twitter.
Mm.
I have been very, very aware of his daily posting habits, which consist of pretty much being horny on main 24/7. And when he's not horny on main, he lets you know by tweeting out, "I am not horny tonight."
Okay.
Then, whenever someone cute sends a message going, "Will you be my funky uncle?" he sends the heart eyes out, and he gets mad thirsty, and he doesn't hide it. So, God bless. He is a genius behind the ones and twos. And his Twitter is a wild ass ride because he's basically like, I am a weird Japanese composer man having fun with American kids on Twitter. Also, I like Family Guy. And it's just like, what? But yeah, where is this based on? Where is this coming from? What does Mandalore have as a...
I sent you the tweet. It's in your Discord chat.
Mm-hmm. Ah, yes. Okay. Okay, well, I didn't see where you were going with this.
You're right. He does like to have fun with American kids on Twitter. Hey!
Yep. If you've got a letter...
If you got a letter, you can send it into castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. Where's that, Wolves?
castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com.
Your letter might sound something like the one Woolie's going to read in just a moment.
Marcox says, Dear Castle Super, we only read emails with witty names beast. Recently, after much talk about card games, I decided to give Pokemon the TCG. The TCG. That doesn't make sense.
What is a trading card game?
A try because the theme decks and formats allow you to buy just a deck and play with it instead of gambling with card packs, and it's pretty fun. However, you can't actually buy packs or decks with real money. You have to start gathering with fun Pokebucks in a single player mode, and or playing with versus a shitty free deck. So to buy a theme deck or individual card packs, if you want more, you have to buy a real physical deck that comes with codes that get fed into the online game. So since I only want to play it online, my options are to go to Amazon and buy e-waste that I'm never going to use, or buy codes from online resellers that are significantly cheaper than buying packs, 25 or 50 online codes versus 5 US for real card packs. 25 US for 50 codes versus 5 US for one pack in real life. Nintendo or whoever that manages the online system just refuses to sell their own online game. So my question is, what are the worst cases of money left on the table you've seen where the people just refuse to make money regardless of how easy it would be?
Atlas porting things.
That was my answer. Ding, ding, ding. Number one, survey says Atlas.
Having like
the biggest anime
games.
franchise in video games, and you don't want the money from it. Cool. Sounds good.
Good.
Yeah.
What? Who would want to buy this game? This game's a year old.
So much groundswell for something that no one can play.
This reminds me, have you seen Critical's fucking card videos?
No. I always read the name as Critical.
It's just like he does these fucking card opening where he opens like TGC cards like in the foils. And like the names of the videos are opening up some cards, got lots of cards, it's totally fine, I don't have a problem, I can stop whenever I want, and the thumbnails are just him coming into his room with just like eyebrow amounts of fucking playing cards.
Jeez. I mean, look, if it like I could just sit there and make a Teppen deck on stream and see who would want to watch that shit.
Yeah.
You know, but I also like Teppen is my downtime thing. So like I turn it on to relax and not be on, you know? Yeah. We got one coming in from Akabane101. Says, "Hello, Wooly and Pat.
Hey.
My name's Akabane101, aka Dalton, longtime fan from way back in the day, and I listen to your podcast where I'm working dairy in a grocery store in Ontario. Being in such an environment, I have to turn on the podcast many times on and off throughout the day to assist customers, so I sometimes miss the games you two are talking about. I start getting really engaged with your discussion, wondering what the game is, only for you to move on to another topic and without mentioning the title. Would it be possible to bookend your discussions by giving the games another mention? So whenever I get the chance, I intentionally do this as much as I can. I might not do it every single topic because that's a very hard thing to do in a podcast that sometimes lasts 5 hours. And we talk about a lot of things. But whenever I can, as we're wrapping up, I do my best to say, and so that's whatever the thing is. And to be honest, that's about the best I can give you. And beyond that, there are timestamps that are available the night of the podcast, day of, on the website. So if you go to the castlesuperbeast.net, you can see the timestamps right there alongside the episode in case you need the help with it, whatever the case may be, if you can't find the part. But yeah, I as much as I can help with that, I try to mention it at the end of the topic, and there are timestamps available. It used to be a week later. Now it goes up the exact same time as the episodes do. So
yeah, Timestamp Man is a real hero.
Absolutely, real champ. So just in case you were not aware of that, you can catch those on the official site.
I'd like to make a correction to an earlier joke I made. Apparently, poor Hideki Naganuma is the victim of him telling a terrible Charlie Chaplin joke amongst multiple tweets over several hours, which highly confused what the fuck he was actually saying on Twitter.
Sure. Last one over here from Woden says, "Dear Halfling Druid and Barbarian Mind Flayer, started playing Pillars of Eternity recently and discovered a genre-specific annoyance. Any guides or discussions I found online about this or similar games have been very reluctant to ascribe any actual best outcome for in-game events. Instead of giving advice to just do what makes the most sense for your character, but what if the thing I want that makes the most sense for the character is to be completionist and aim for the best outcomes in every event? Baldur's Gate 3 discussion specifically troubled me because I knew I would lose my mind with the knowledge that a command that my stats should guarantee success can fail anyway, even outside of battle. I really want to like this genre because while I do enjoy the general gameplay and usually the stories, I find these janky tabletop role-player experiences and mechanics frustrating at the least, even though I know that is a major draw for a lot of the fans of the genre. I have to wonder if there's any hope for me enjoying this type of game. Have you felt this type of frustration towards a genre's core component?"
There's a lot of situations in Pillars 1 that don't have cut and dry best solutions. They don't even have cut and dry best solutions from a gameplay perspective.
Yeah, if you have a 19 in something and you roll a fucking fail on that, then all I can say is, like, it sucks, but part of the experience is living with that. Like, you have to kind of go into it.
Like, I mean, there's a fucking Pillars has a really good example where there's a boss that you can kill, and he's a really tough boss fight, and you get tons of gear and experience from him, and you put his cousin on the throne as a result. But doing so makes you have to fight an even tougher boss at random. Well, not at random, but it's like a surprise encounter much later in the game, and it could fuck your ass up. Whereas that actually leads to that's good for gameplay purposes, but leads to a negative ending, despite what you may think.
Okay.
And just letting him do whatever actually ends up being more positive overall and has its own benefits. So yeah, there's a lot like these types of games almost never have cut and dry.
Well, that's
the best.
Well, what I was gonna say is like if you've got a mind goblin that needs to have the best route, then like that sucks because you can't really get around that problem. But mentally, I look at this as the same type of thing where like a roguelike, you're gonna get past a bunch of stuff not seeing all the permutations, right? You're gonna have a bunch of cool things that could have happened to you that don't in your run. It's the nature of the genre, and I don't think you get to the end of a roguelike being like, oh shit, like I didn't see every single permutation in a way. Like I think you have to kind of just put it almost in a pseudo category like that, where you go, my experience is meant to be unique here, and if I replay it I'll get a different one, but it's not meant to be like a normal game where you actually get all 12 endings of Shadow the Hedgehog.
Shadow the Hedgehog has 12 endings.
That's correct.
Why?
Because he's not Sonic.
That's a weird answer.
He is all that he is all he is. Anyway.
Okay.
We'll leave it on that.
All right. Anything else left to plug, Wolves?
I mean, you never know what's going to show up on Wooly Versus. So
okay, that's obviously true.
Stop trying to figure it out. I promise you won't.
But you have a podcast named Will You'll Figure It Out. You can't tell people to stop trying to figure it out.
Okay, well, stop trying. You won't. Like I don't know what's coming up on Wooly Versus, so you won't know either.
All right, you can check out my crap over at twitch.tv/PatStaresAt as always. I hope to see you there. And before we end, I just have to tell all of you that, of course, dogs can talk.
Sure. Good night, everybody.
Good night.